In the quiet classroom, the teacher announced, "All right, class dismissed for today." Then, he addressed the class president. Jongmin, a girl, stood up and spoke after the teacher's remark. "Yes, sir," she said. The class responded in unison, "Goodbye, teacher." Two girls approached Jongmin and asked, "Jongmin, what are you doing after school today?" She replied softly, "I don't know yet." Hearing this, the two girls invited her, "We're going to buy some makeup. Want to come?" Jongmin responded with interest, "Sure." She then suggested, "How about we grab dinner afterward? My mom just gave me her card, so I can treat you guys." One of the girls complimented her, "You're so lucky, Jongmin." As the two girls walked away, one wistfully said, "I wish my mom was like that." The other replied, "Keep dreaming." Jongmin's eyes darkened, and a gloomy atmosphere filled the classroom. A derogatory comment arose. "Did she not wash her hair again today? Look at it." More scornful and hateful remarks followed. "She reeks. Ugh, no wonder everyone hates her." Dongbin watched silently, then turned with a sinister smile, "That she's disgusting." This comment seemed to upset Juyin, who was sitting further away. She glared back at them, muttering curses. "That bitch, who does she think she is, looking at us like that? Don't look at us." Jongmin chuckled softly and walked towards Juyin. Suddenly, someone snatched a red phone from a desk. Seeing this, Jahayan jumped up to grab it back. "Hey, what are you doing?" "Give it back," Jongmin said with a mocking smile. "Oh, Jahayan, I knew it." She held the phone up in front of Jahayan's face and asked, "What's this?" The phone displayed hateful messages, causing murmurs around them. "What the hell? Is she talking about us?" The two girls holding the phone read aloud. "Jongmin, she's written a lot about you." Someone muttered, "Is she crazy?" Perhaps because her misdeeds were exposed. Jahayan's face darkened, and she started sweating profusely. A loud slap echoed. Everyone turned their heads towards the sound. Jongmin had slapped Jahayan across the left cheek. Whispers filled the air. "What happened?" "Jongmin just hit Jahayan." "Haha, this is interesting. What did she do this time?" Excited laughter erupted, and the students continued to taunt. "Juyin, don't you think this is unfair?" "Of course it is. They bullied and ostracized you first, and now, just because you said something, you're being humiliated in front of everyone." Footsteps approached, followed by a voice, "But Juyin." Jongmin leaned close to Juyin and whispered, "You do this to me every day." Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the room as the school bell rang. Jongmin woke up with a sigh. She groaned, returning to reality that I was just getting to the good part. As she got ready for school, she seemed to realize something. She shook her piggy bank and complained, "My savings are all gone now." She thought to herself, "Because of those bitches, I can't even eat properly." Discouraged, she muttered, "I don't want to go to school anymore." At school, a girl laughed loudly as she walked past Jongmin. Suddenly, she turned around with a frown. She glared at the frightened Jongmin, causing her to feel a surge of fear. Three girls stood in the classroom, laughing loudly. Jahayan and her friends turned around, making Jongmin wonder, "What's going on? What are they whispering about?" She shivered with fear, inwardly groaning, "This is so annoying. Those bitches, they're nothing in my dreams." Jongmin walked past the three girls who were staring at her, but they didn't seem to give up, instead approaching her. Jahayan walked past Jongmin and spoke up, "What's so funny, you three? Laughing and mocking like that. Do you two smell something strange?" "Haha, maybe that smell from just now." Jahayan sneered at Jongmin, saying pointedly, "I don't know, but doesn't it seem to be coming from somewhere around here?" The others joined in her laughter. A voice rang out, "Class dismissed." The class president stood up and replied, "Yes, sir." Jahayan, with a bright smile, said, "Class, stand and bow to the teacher." Another voice responded, "Thank you, everyone." In the school hallway, Jongmin walked slowly. She glanced through the doorway into the restroom and thought, "The restroom is too crowded." Dejectedly, she thought to herself, "I'll just go to the restroom on the first floor." Jongmin sighed in the restroom. "What am I even doing?" Comforting thoughts echoed in her mind, "But they're nothing. They'll be beneath me soon. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just middle school." But then she thought, "But why? I deserve revenge. The only revenge I have against those who made my life miserable is in my vivid dreams. I've trampled Jahayan under my feet, treated her the way she treats me, but only in my dreams. That's the only way I can relieve my stress." Jongmin leaned her head against the door in front of her. "But Juyin, she's the one who turned me into someone disposable." She remembered elementary school, when the school bell rang, ring dong, ring dong. A friend had asked, "Jongmin, want to go to the restroom?" She'd replied cheerfully, "Sure." and then noticed something ahead. She wondered, why is Jian walking alone? Where are her friends? Another girl said, oh, I think they probably had a fight. Then came the questions, why? I don't know. The other girl continued, Jian's personality isn't very nice anyway. Isn't that why they stopped being friends? Another girl added, yeah, she's always violent and treats people terribly. She even cursed at me before. Zhangmin stayed quiet, then called out to Jahan. She approached her and said, we're going to the restroom. Do you want to come with us? Her subconscious spoke. After that, Jahan and I quickly became friends. We were inseparable. But then one day, she remembered Jian saying, can't you stop hanging out with Zhangmin and her friends? You know what kind of people they are, right? Zhangmin had wondered, what about my friends? But Jian had said, honestly, I wish you wouldn't hang out with those losers. You have me. Just hang out with me. Zhangmin remembered that in the beginning, when they first became friends, Jian wasn't like this. But maybe she gradually became more comfortable around me. And day by day, she revealed her true nature. Jian had said, promise me. This made Zhangmin uncomfortable. She thought, can we all hang out together? She recalled the rumors. Jahan's personality is terrible. She's always violent and treats people awfully. She guessed the rumors her friends were spreading were completely true. The scene changed. Jahan said, hold still, I'll make you really pretty. Jomin's worried expression stopped her. Hey, I don't think we should. What if she finds out? She'll be really mad. Jian, holding a pen, said cheerfully, it's okay. Trust me. She moved closer to Jomin's face and asked, oh, do you want her hair dyed too? She secretly thought, no, I don't want to. The other girls shrieked in alarm. Jomin, what happened to your face? Her friends asked, then complained. Jahan did that to you? That's so selfish. Poor Jomin. They came closer to help her. One of them said, Jahan keeps telling me not to hang out with you guys anymore. Zhangmin, her head bowed to her knees, said, I thought we could all play together. But I guess not. Her friend asked, what's wrong? Before you started hanging out with her, she was always all alone. Her friend advised Zhangmin, just don't play with Jahan anymore. Hearing this, she was speechless. But her friend continued, it's obvious you hate Jahan too. You just won't say it. If you cut ties with her now, she can't do anything about it. Another friend put an arm around her shoulder, comforting her. Besides, who cares what she says? You have us. Don't worry. She asked softly, really? The other girl reassured her, yeah, we're always on your side. She thought to herself, they're right. I'm really scared of Jian. Her personality is a bit strange, like everyone says. I don't like it either. In the classroom, Jian looked towards the door, seeing Zhangmin and her friends walk in. She called out, Zhangmin, where were you? I've been looking for you. Seeing this, she cowered slightly. Jahan's face went blank. Why did you wash off your makeup? This startled her, and she hid behind her friends. Jahan's expression changed. Jahan angrily rushed toward Zhangmin. She reached out, intending to grab her hand, and said, after school. Suddenly, one of her friends pushed Jahan away. Hey, leave Zhangmin alone. Jahan stammered, what? Her friend said, Zhangmin told us everything. She said you told her not to hang out with us anymore. Jahan, looking distraught, asked, she told you everything? She questioned Zhangmin, did you talk bad about me? Zhangmin panicked, thinking talk bad, but her friend quickly intervened. Anyway, Zhangmin said you make her uncomfortable, so she doesn't want to be friends with you anymore. Then she said, come on, Zhangmin. She and her friends walked out of the classroom. She thought to herself, is this okay? She looked back, fear evident in her eyes. Jahan stood in the classroom. Her expression was terrifying. Zhangmin remembered what happened afterward. Jahan never spoke to her again. Even though she was afraid Jahan would hurt her, she never did anything. After graduating, she went to middle school and then to high school. Jahan had become someone no one at school could ignore. Zhangmin looked fearfully towards Jahan, who was sitting on a chair. Jahan stood up. She walked past Zhangmin. This made her think, she doesn't recognize me? She sighed in relief. Actually, this is better than nothing. It's lucky. She thought back to Jahan's expression that day. I still can't forget it. She turned her head towards Jian, thinking to herself, she seemed to be doing well, although I was a little afraid of her. Jian shifted her gaze towards her. Her expression immediately changed, as if she were contemplating something. The sounds of lectures could already be heard in the school. Spread out a bit, everyone. Pair up and line up. Her face was filled with weary thought. The first day of class, she thought. The sounds of chatter rang out. Hurry up. Aren't we supposed to pair up by number? She looked at everyone and thought, it's like I'm the only one without friends. Everyone else has already paired up. She thought bitterly, this is so embarrassing. What if someone thinks I'm weird? Suddenly, a scoff made her freeze. She glanced towards the source of the sound. It was Jahan and her friend, along with the sound of gossip. Look at him standing there all alone. Jahayan leaned closer to her friend and whispered, making her wonder, what now? Then came words of confirmation. Really? Him? No way. Ha ha ha. She immediately thought, is she talking about me? Is she talking about me? The gossip made her panic. In that moment, she thought, my whole body can feel it. My high school years are ruined. Remembering Jahayan's words, did you talk bad about me? Made her realize something. She remembers me. She was holding her phone in class when suddenly a voice called out, hey. She turned to see two girls calling her. Hey, hey, hey. The two of them asked, we heard you used to bully Julian in elementary school. What the heck? A loser like you. She wondered what. She looked towards Jahayan, wondering what they were talking about. Did you tell them? The two girls continued. Should we teach her a lesson? Ha! Are you trying to get justice? Jahayan's friend looked smug as she watched her friend act this way. Her face was filled with fear and anxiety. Suddenly, a voice said, anyway. Her phone was snatched from her hand, along with the question, how many of these do you have? Julian's friend laughed and said, not bad. Hey, you listen to this kind of music? It's so outdated, ha ha ha. The two of them mocked her. Whoa, she hasn't even touched this data yet, but it's already been half a month. She yelled, give it back. She thought to herself, I have to save it because I don't have much. The two girls continued, you don't have any friends to text anyway, ha ha. Just think of it as a donation, ha ha. One of Jahayan's friends said, thanks for the data. If you turn off your hotspot, you're dead to me, bestie. She silently thought, why am I being treated like this? She looked toward the other side, wondering, why me? The whole class looked at her, but then quickly dispersed. She looked at Jahayan, who was looking back at her with fear. Jahayan smirked. Ha ha ha, stupid. She was stunned. She thought to herself, I can't keep going to school like this. I kept thinking that I definitely wouldn't be bullied, but now it's happening to me. Was what I did to you back then wrong? What did I do to you? She recalled the words, we heard you used to bully Julian in elementary school. Thoughts flooded her mind. Should we teach her a lesson? Huh? Are you trying to get justice? Jongmin's face was filled with exhaustion from her declining mental state. She was in a panic. No. She stood in front of the door and thought, She looked at the door for a moment, then knocked. She opened the door and called out, Mom, I have something to tell you. She continued, it's about school. She looked hopelessly towards her mother, remembering the past. She wondered if her mother would even care if she told her about the bullying. Her mother couldn't even take care of herself. Standing outside the door, Jongmin remembered the online comments and fell silent. It's nothing, she said softly, standing in the dirty room. Her mother, like a zombie, lay on the bed under the covers, scrolling through her phone. Suddenly, Jongmin noticed her humming, lucid dreaming. She thought, so if you can't do anything in real life, you could do it all in there. She thought about Jahayan and her friends. So in my dreams, I can do whatever I want to them? She mused, a small smile playing on her lips. Interesting. She read more about it. There are two main ways to achieve lucid dreaming. First, realize you're dreaming while sleeping and begin to dream lucidly. Second, fall asleep with the intention of lucid dreaming and quickly enter a dream. The second method has side effects for those who are attempting lucid dreaming for the first time. But who cares about that now? I just want to escape this miserable reality as quickly as possible. Her eyes slowly closed with that thought. Her eyes opened to a scene in her classroom. Why am I at school? She wondered, then realized, I did it. I'm lucid dreaming. She looked at her hands, examining them, that it feels so real. It doesn't feel like a dream at all. She shifted her gaze. It's probably because it's my first time. She looked around at her classmates, but couldn't see their faces. But it will be hard to see my classmates clearly. She thought, that's natural, I guess. I don't usually look closely at their faces or hear their names. She suddenly thought of something, but then Julian's figure gradually appeared. Julian's expression made her observe silently. I remember your face so clearly. She spoke. You know, Jahayan, when I saw you in middle school, I was honestly pretty happy. Happy because you had so many people around you, unlike in elementary school. Even though you were strange, I still felt guilty for cutting ties with you like that. Her expression changed as she continued thoughtfully. But even if you were hurt back then, isn't this too much? Was I that wrong? Say something. She was met with silence. The silence made her grit her teeth in bitterness. She lunged forward, grabbing Julian. Say something. The words she couldn't say poured out. Because of you, my school life has been hell. Do you know that? She yelled. She thought bitterly, knowing that the Jahayan in front of her wasn't real. Through gritted teeth, she whispered, please. Her voice softened. What do I want to hear from her? She thought. Jongmin spoke. You know, Jahayan, when I saw you in middle school, I was honestly pretty truly happy. Happy because you had so many people around you, unlike in elementary school. Even though you were strange, I still felt guilty for cutting ties with you like that. Her expression changed as she continued thoughtfully. But even if you were hurt back then, isn't this too much? Was I that wrong? Say something. She was met with silence. The silence made her grit her teeth in bitterness. She lunged forward, grabbing Jahayan. Say something. The words she couldn't say poured out. Because of you, my school life has been hell. Do you know that? She thought bitterly. Knowing the Jian in front of her wasn't the real one, she gritted her teeth and softly pleaded, please. She gradually lowered her head, thinking, what do I even want to hear him say? At school, someone said, I already submitted the assignment yesterday. The teacher instructed, number 1, then added after class, collect all the notebooks in numerical order. Number 1 replied, yes, sir. After break time, the girl who was number 1 complained, why am I number 1 again? I'm always called on. She scrunched up her face and said loudly, this is so annoying. Her friend came over, patted her shoulder, and comforted her. I'll help you. Let's collect the notebooks quickly and then go to the snack bar. What number are you now? Suddenly, her friend said, 29. You need number 30. The girl who was number 1 asked, who's number 30? Her friend shook her arm and said, oh, it's him. Joe Min Choi. The two girls looked at each other in dismay. A finger tapped Joe Min Choi's shoulder. Excuse me. The girl who was number 1 said, give me your math notebook. She reacted, oh, okay. Hold on a sec. The other two girls' faces were filled with alarm. Jongmin handed over her math notebook. Her expression was vacant, as if she hadn't slept in days. The two girls whispered to each other, oh my God, doesn't she always look like she's about to die? Who knows? Isn't she always like that? It's been a week since I started lucid dreaming. I haven't been able to sleep properly. I'm so exhausted. Whispers filled the air, making her skin crawl. She wondered how pathetic. I just told Jahayan everything I was thinking. I haven't even gotten revenge yet. Jahayan didn't say anything in the dream, though. Just as I expected. I'm the one controlling Jian in the dream. But I don't want to hear him say anything. And I don't want him to do anything either. Maybe it's because I don't hate him enough. Or maybe I'm just afraid of the feeling of hurting someone else. Jahayan's image appeared, saying, Jongmin. She thought to herself, I can't do anything to her anyway. She thought with a headache, I'm skipping sleep to try lucid dreaming like this? This is so pathetic. She thought she should stop. Nothing was changing. A voice rang out. Now we need to elect a class president. Are there any nominations? Jahayan's friend raised her hand at me. You, the teacher said, maybe not you. How about John? He's always fooling around. The whole class laughed. She said, not him. She explained, I was going to nominate Jahayan. The teacher asked Jahayan, The teacher said that Jahayan's academic performance has been very good recently. Her leadership skills are also quite good. I think she could do it. Hearing this, Jahayan smiled at me. The teacher teased, yeah. Do you want to put in some effort for your classmates this semester? Jahayan made a face. Her friend said, I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to be class president. Don't we have to nominate candidates and then vote? Her classmate said, just do it, Jahayan. Yeah, I bet no one else can do it. Then, all the classmates chanted, Jahayan, Jahayan, Jahayan. This made Jongmin pensive. She glanced over to the other side. She thought to herself, if I hadn't pushed him away back then. Looking at everyone laughing happily, she thought, would I be as happy as everyone else now? Yes, she murmured, lowering her head. Thinking about these things now isn't helpful at all. The teacher spoke up. So, the class president for this first semester is Jahayan. Is that okay, Jahayan? She replied, yes, sir. Jongmin gradually lifted her head, looking around the empty classroom. She thought, why isn't anyone in the room? She checked her phone and saw it was 12:59. It's lunchtime, she thought. She stood up abruptly, telling herself, time to go to the cafeteria. The sky was clear blue. Ophelia walked along the familiar road. Suddenly, she heard Jian's voice. She stopped to listen and heard Jahayan. Jahayan continued, Jongmin Choi, or whatever his name is. Aren't you going to get revenge on that bitch? Jahayan wondered why. Who is Jongmin Choi? Her friend explained, that loser who bullied you in elementary school. And now he's completely lost. Oh my. Hearing this, Jongmin felt a pang of fear. One of Jian's friends asked, Jian, if you can't say it yourself, do you want us to say something? She laughed and said, haha, sure. She continued, anyway, people like that always end up alone. There's no need to bother with him. Her friend chuckled, true. Haha. Her friend added, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. And to do that to you in elementary school? I bet he has a terrible personality. I bet he doesn't have any friends. Her friend wondered, how did he even have the nerve to do that to you? As she spoke, she asked for a cigarette. Jahayan said, He approached me first. We were best friends at the beginning, but the girls he hangs out with are a bit, you know? Yeah, her friend replied. Jahan complained. They're probably all birds of feather. Turns out he's been talking bad about me to them this whole time. Her friend responded, oh, you were an angel for even hanging out with him in the first place. Yeah, I would have died of embarrassment. You have every right to treat him badly. Jahan replied, well, honestly, he started it. Jahan laughed and said, true. She looked away. She scoffed, always staying quiet to see what he'll do. Jongmin felt a bit tense hearing this. Ophelia thought she had forgotten why she cut ties with Jahan. She remembered, you really are that kind of person. She judged others, even her friends. She recalled Jahan saying, don't they seem a little, you know? Honestly, I wish you wouldn't hang out with those losers. She guessed about Jahan. If you think they're weaker than you just look down on them. It must be what you want to believe. Her friend turned and hugged Ju Hyun. Why poor little thing. Jahan laughed happily and said, okay, stop it. Ha. Ophelia thought, who would want to be so selfish? You just want to torment me. Pretending to be right is disgusting. I'm about to fall, and you're piling on the guilt. In class, she walked past her friend and her group. Jahan's eyes followed Ophelia. A loud voice called out, hey, Jongmin. Everyone looked at her. The voice continued, isn't your skirt a little short? Jongmin looked towards the voice. It was Chu Hyun. Chu Hyun calmly walked towards her, making Jongmin panic. She clenched her fists and thought, that bitch is now criticizing my skirt. Then her eyes widened as she thought, I only care about myself. Everyone around her was staring, their eyes judgmental, making Jongmin tremble with fear. Jongmin stood up from her seat. There were still some whispers around her. Someone said to Chu Hyun, look, she's ignoring you. Jongmin shakily grabbed her phone, thinking being a target of bullying, even a little anger is a crime. Her fingers typed out her feelings. As she typed, she thought, this is the only way to keep myself from losing it. Then everyone went outside. Chu Hyun turned back to look at Jongmin, who was sitting alone and silent in the classroom. Although it was class time, Jongmin couldn't focus on the lecture. She was lost in thought. Is this a side effect of lucid dreaming? I can't focus on anything. My eyes clearly show how tired I am. I'm so exhausted. A voice calls out, the exams are coming up. Take notes. The voice startles Jongmin, making her look around the classroom in confusion. Panicked, she thinks, what is everyone writing? Looking at the board, she sees it's been erased. She looks distracted and tired. Rubbing her eyes, she thinks, even if I force myself to stay awake, I can't focus. I'll just close my eyes for a bit. The teacher announces, next period is PE, so I'll let you out early to change. Have a nice day. The students reply in unison, thank you. While everyone bustles around, preparing to change for PE, Jongmin slumps over her desk and falls asleep. Several students complain, I can't believe PE is the last class. That's the worst. One girl invites another to the snack bar. The other replies, there's no time to eat. Someone looks towards Jongmin and asks, should we wake her up? The other one turns and says, haven't you heard? She bullied Jahan in elementary school. The first one asks in surprise, what? Really? Someone like Jahan? The two of them glare at Jongmin without saying anything. Then one says, forget it. We don't have much time. Let's go to the snack bar. The other agrees, yeah, she could take responsibility for herself. Another girl in their group, Jian, speaks up sarcastically. Poor Jongmin, haha. Another one adds, I bet no one will wake her up. The first one says, the PE teacher will definitely punish her. Jian watches them talk. One of them says, the PE teacher is super scary. The other replies, really? Whatever, let her be. Ha, this is entertaining. Jahan turns to the other two and says, hey. One of them asks, Jahan says shyly, you two go ahead. I'm going to stop by the nurse's office. The other girl asks worriedly, are you sick? Jahan feigns fatigue and says, I have cramps. The other girl immediately says, oh, then we'll tell the PE teacher. You should go rest. They wave and say, make sure to text us, okay? Jahan turns and says, yeah, I'll when I feel better. Okay. Watching them leave, Jahan remains silent. Then she turns and looks at Jongmin, who is still asleep. Jahan walks over to Jongmin's desk and smirks. Look at you sleeping so soundly, my little Jongmin, she says, recalling a scene from her memory. She reaches out her hand. Jahan bends down and searches Jongmin's desk. She finds the phone and thinks, there it is. The phone screen lights up. She ponders, The lack of a passcode on the phone surprises her. What was she thinking? She didn't set a lock? There's no security at all. She smirks and thinks. She doesn't have any friends or family who care about her either. Jaehyun leans closer to Jongmin and whispers, "Poor Jongmin, you should have been nicer to me." Then she turns away and goes to Jongmin's social media page. Reading the pensive posts, she thinks this isn't enough. Jaehyun takes out her phone and screenshots all the posts. As she's taking screenshots and reading, a loud voice calls out, "Jongmin Choi." This startles her awake. The PE teacher yells, "You slept through the entire PE class." Jongmin replies, "Yes, sir." Looking up at the PE teacher, she thinks, no way, is the day already over? Looking around and seeing everyone staring at her, she thinks, how did it get so late? The PE teacher continued scolding. "Tomorrow, come to the teacher's office after school. Do you understand?" Jaehyun could only lower her head and say yes. The teacher continued, "Jaehyun, dismiss the class." She replied yes. "Attention class, be quiet." Jongmin at the back looked down at her hands, thinking, why hasn't anyone called on me? Then she gritted her teeth as the class said in unison, "Have a good day, teacher." Leaving, Jongmin could only walk with her head down. Jaehyun looked towards her and smiled slightly. Suddenly, a voice called out Jongmin. Startled, she looked up. Jaehyun smiled and said, "See you tomorrow." This made Jongmin feel a mixture of fear and disgust. She just stood there, watching Jaehyun's group walk away cheerfully. Then she fell back in her usual spiral of anxious thoughts. She replayed Jaehyun's actions, one by one, thinking she's just hiding behind her friends, laughing at me. She hasn't even spoken to me directly. Jongmin fumed, her face contorted in anger. What is she thinking? On the way home from school, Jaehyun said, "Hey girls." One of the girls turned and asked, "Yeah, what's up?" Jaehyun replied, "I've thought of a few ways to get back at Jongmin. I want to try them out. Thinking back to what she did to me, it still hurts. If not now, when will I ever get my revenge?" The other girl said, "That's the right decision. I told you, you have the right to punish her. It's not like you did that to her for no reason." She continued, "You're so much better than her, so don't feel guilty or anything. We'll help you. Besides, who in this whole class even likes that little Jongmin anyway?" Hearing this, Jaehyun smiled and said, "Thanks." Scene change. Jongmin's house. Jongmin stood in front of the mirror, fussing and muttering to herself. I woke up later than I thought." Adjusting her hair, she thought wearily, "My bangs are a bit greasy. If the homeroom teacher finds out I was late because I washed my hair, he'll be furious." She shook her head, thinking about Jaehyun's fake smile. Her heart pounded as she thought, "I hope nothing happens today." Arriving at class, she saw Jaehyun standing outside the door talking. Jongmin said, "Excuse me." The girl standing next to Jaehyun said loudly, "Ugh, so annoying. Have some manners. You could have just gone through the front door. Are you trying to bully us? So irritating. Get lost. Do you want everyone to think you're creepy and disgusting? Huh?" Hearing this, Jaehyun looked up and smiled slightly. The other girl continued, "You should at least wash your hair before leaving the house. Do you want dandruff everywhere?" Jongmin wondered, what is she talking about? The girl continued, "Just get rid of those bangs. They're disgusting. No wonder you can't see anything. Your eyes are completely covered." Jongmin thought angrily, what the hell did I just hear her say? The girl smirked at her. "Now that you've heard it, can you get lost? Don't come near us. You're dirtying our clothes." Looking at them, Jongmin thought, do I have to listen to this every single day? I don't wash my hair. Then the whispers started. Did Jongmin not wash her hair today? Now that you mention it, her hair looks greasy. Gives me goosebumps. But I don't think Jaehyun is angry with her just because of that. What else did she do? I heard that in elementary school Hearing this, Jongmin quickly grabbed her bag and rushed out of the classroom. She thought, damn it. Walking away, tears welled up in her eyes. That bitch. Is she trying to humiliate me again? I'll kill her. Inside the classroom, everyone continued to gossip. Ha ha ha. Just now, her face was priceless. We caught her with that dirty, greasy hair. So gross. Seeing her walk out the front door was hilarious. Ha ha. Jin, hearing everyone say that, cheerfully said, haha, whatever. Want to go out for dinner later? My treat. Her friend happily agreed. Really? Are you sure? Yeah, my mom just gave me her card, which means I can eat out with friends as much as I want. Hearing that, the other person exclaimed, wow, your mom is an angel. But Juyin thought back to secretly screenshotting Jongmin's emotional posts and then reading them while laughing, since Jongmin hadn't realized Juyin had set her account to public. Anything posted like that, this is enough, right? That night, in front of the gloomy apartment building, Choi Jong-min lay on a mattress on the floor, a blanket pulled up to her chest, staring at the ceiling, lost in gloomy thoughts. She closed her eyes and thought, tomorrow, Ha-dun will definitely pick on me again. Choi Jong-min imagined Doon and her friends mocking her. Then she opened her eyes, stopping her thoughts, her gaze filled with frustration and helplessness. Her face fell, devoid of any joy. She thought to herself, with how I'm feeling right now, I want to get revenge on them publicly. Choi Jong-min wondered, should I try one more time? Lost in thought, a beeping sound startled her. She turned towards the source of the noise. It was the sound of the door's keypad beeping, followed by the click of the lock. A man opened the door and walked in. Dad? Seeing the man, Jong-min was shocked and cried out internally, Dad. She sat up, bracing her hands on the mat. Her face panicked as she stammered a greeting. Dad, you're home? The man looked at her and then turned to walk in another direction before she could finish her sentence, leaving the word home hanging in the air. The man paid no attention to her. Heavy footsteps echoed, followed by the sound of a door being flung open violently, causing it to slam against the frame. Jong-min thought, Mom's home today, too. She muttered, it's about to start again, then sighed, looking towards the room where the two were. As if by habit, she silently counted down in her head, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As soon as the countdown ended, crashing sounds began, accompanied by cursing. You bitch, your husband's home, and you're just lying around like a corpse. Huh? Jong-min trembled, pulling the blanket tighter around herself. She curled up, placing her hands over her knees, huddled against her chest, silently listening to them. Her father yelled, do I have to beat you to make you understand? Huh? Jong-min peeked out from under the blanket towards them, thinking, this is so frustrating. If he's just going to get angry, why even bother coming home? She continued to tremble under the blanket. Finally, she came to a conclusion that it's Dad who's making both me and Mom like this. The curses continued to ring in her ears, interrupting her thoughts. If I wasn't so weak. Jong-min gritted her teeth and hugged her head, wondering if things would be different. She recalled her past experiences. Jong-min's desk had been vandalized with hateful words urging her to flee. They gossiped about her constantly. She wondered again, if I were just a little stronger, could I have fought back against those bastards? Jong-min remained silent, tears welling up in her dark eyes. The sounds of crashing objects continued relentlessly. After a while, the struggle ended. Jong-min thought, finally it's quiet again. With her hair disheveled, she concluded, it's over now. Then she closed her tear-filled eyes. Filled with exhaustion, she drifted off. Jong-min groaned internally, overwhelmed by fatigue, and then fell asleep without realizing it. In her dream, a strange, brilliant golden light appeared before her. Beneath her feet stretched an expanse of water, scattered with purple petals resting on the surface. Red threads were wound around her, clad in her pajamas, as her feet dipped into the water. She wondered where she was. Jong-min raised her hands to get a better look, then realized she'd seen this unreal space somewhere before. She lowered her hands and looked around. It's a dream, she thought. Lately, she'd been having so many lucid dreams that she now knew immediately when she was dreaming. Even though she didn't intend to, she kept having these lucid dreams. Jong-min pensively observed her surroundings, silent. The image of her father flashed in her mind, and she fell into a somber contemplation. Just one day, suddenly, a brilliant light burst forth in the dream. Jong-min turned, and the dream shattered. She found herself standing in her house, her gaze fixed determinately on the kitchen. Even if it's just for one day, I want to try. Clanging sounds echoed as Jong-min walked towards the door where her father was hitting her mother. She cracked the door open. The first sound she heard was a human voice, cursing, you bitch. She pushed the door open and walked straight in. The scene inside the room was terrifyingly dark. Her father was gripping her mother's hair, yelling, you whore. You dare look down on your husband. Her mother struggled to hold on to her hair, try to lessen the pain, kneeling on the floor. Her father continued to rage. Do you want to die today? Do you? Jong-min froze for a moment, then screamed at him, stop it, you bastard. Hearing her yell, he turned to look at her. He gritted his teeth and shouted, now even the brat dares to mock me. He shifted his target. Hey, Choi Jong-min, get over here. The door had closed at some point. Jong-min stood by the door, her expression unreadable, watching him, not seeing her move as ordered. He roared again. I said get over here, you bitch. Jong-min glared at him. Her Her stillness further enraged him. He stormed towards her. "Can't you hear me? Get over here." She said nothing, only staring at him with contempt, making him feel utterly disregarded. Infuriated, he raised his hand. "Fine. Today I'll beat you to death along with your mother." Before he could strike, Jongmin suddenly lunged forward, grabbing his neck and shoving him to the ground. She looked down at him with burning resentment, tightening her grip on his throat. He coughed and choked, struggling to breathe. "Good." Jongmin smiled, her eyes filled with a feverish excitement. "Just as I thought. You can't do anything to me." She recalled cowering in fear just moments ago, thinking die. Just die. She squeezed his throat so tightly that her fingerprints were imprinted on his skin, turning it purple. His body trembled, and foam dribbled from his mouth as his breathing became restricted. She screamed internally, "I wish I could kill you right here." Reveling in her thoughts, she heard a gasp, then silence. He stopped struggling. Jongmin was jolted back to reality. She recoiled, releasing her grip on his throat. Still on top of him, she stared in horror at her motionless father. Panic set into, cold sweat dripped down her face. She was paralyzed, staring at him. "Dad?" His hand went limp. "Dead." Dongmin held her hand up in front of her face, staring at it as it trembled uncontrollably. Her heart pounded, her hands shaking. "I'm dying," she screamed internally. Suddenly, everything around her spun and blurred. Her heartbeat quickened. Terrified, she brought her hands up to her pale face. "Why me?" She wondered silently, then imagined her father lying motionless on the ground. Gasping, Dongmin's eyes shot open. She bolted upright in bed, her hair disheveled, still panicked. Then she remembered. "Oh, right, it was just a dream. I was so scared I forgot I was dreaming." Before she could calm down, the rustle of clothing made her jump and look towards the source of the noise. She looked at her father with wide, frightened eyes. He looked at her as if to say something, then stopped. He left her there and turned to leave. The slam of the door seemed to jolt her awake. She laughed, a startled, yet somewhat amused expression on her face. "Not bad," she remarked. "I took too long in the shower, and I'm going to be late for school. My homeroom teacher already has his eye on me because of last time. If I'm late, who knows how he'll humiliate me in front of the whole class." Dongmin ran down the street, lost in thought. She remembered the last incident. She hated being reprimanded in front of the class. "I'd rather die." She ran as fast as she could to get to school. Distracted, she bumped into someone. The person let out a yelp. She quickly turned around and blurted out, "I'm sorry," and continued running. The man she bumped into rubbed his shoulder, about to say something, but then stopped, silently watching her run away. Dongmin reached the classroom door, panting and leaning against it, just in time before the bell rings. "I still have a little time." She opened the door and walked in, touching her forehead, dazed by the noise of the class, and caught her breath. She quickly walked to her seat and sat down, aware of the stares from everyone around her. Dongmin took out her phone and adjusted her hair. Suddenly, she heard whispers about her. What? Did Choi Dongmin not shower again? She flinched. Then another voice responded, "She was humiliated like that yesterday, and she still hasn't learned her lesson." Huh. And another chimed in, "Honestly, I can't understand people like that." Dongmin felt their contemptuous stares. "I'll wash my hair. It's just not dry yet, you crazy bitches." She screamed internally, biting her lip to keep from yelling at them. Cursing under her breath, she typed something on her phone. "Damn, these bitches are so annoying." She tapped furiously at the keyboard, fuming, posting something on social media. Finally, she sighed and gave up. "I can only write this nonsense to vent. I feel so pathetic." Lost in thought, a familiar voice from the doorway made her freeze. "Hey, Choi Dongmin." Fearful, she turned to look at the person who had called her name. Haru walked from the door towards her desk, holding up a phone in front of her. "This is your account, right?" Haru asked, a slight smile on her face. But it wasn't friendly. It was a look of contempt and amusement. The phone screen was displayed before a stunned and frightened Dongmin. These were the status updates she posted on her personal account. Youngmin sat frozen in her chair, staring at the phone and facing the barrage of questions under the gaze of everyone. Youngmin froze, unable to understand. Huh? How is this? She stared at the screen of Jahyun's phone. Displayed on it were her status updates and her personal account. Youngmin was stunned, wondering how they could be visible on Jahyun's phone. Fear gripped her, sweat pouring down her face. "I said it to only Meow." Youngmin remained motionless before the phone screen, staring at it. Ignoring Jungmin's confusion, Jahyun held the phone and continued her interrogation. "Between you and this Cho Song person, sound familiar? What's going on here?" Jungmin's eyes were filled with fear and desperate denial, and oh no, that's not it. That's not my account. Jahayan ignored her, calmly continuing to read and making pointed remarks. Easy appearing here is Juju. HG, is he Jean, right? Youngmin, caught red-handed, stared at Jahayan in a panic. Jahayan looked up from the phone, her eyes filled with disgust. Besides you, who else would have a reason to insult everyone in class? After that statement, all eyes in the classroom turned to Youngmin and started whispering. Jahayan, feeling it wasn't enough, added, and you just posted something else here. She looked at the screen and read aloud. You idiots, it's not that I haven't showered. I washed my hair, it's just not dry yet. These losers, these bitches with too much time, why do they care about other people's business? They say they don't understand me. Haha, I don't understand them. So annoying. Every word Jahayan uttered chipped away at Jungmin's composure. Tears streamed down her face, her heart pounding as if it would burst from her chest. Jahayan continued to yell, "Why don't you all just die?" The surrounding crowd began to murmur intensely. One girl voiced the thoughts of the majority. Isn't she talking about us? Then came the curses. You crazy bitch. Every curse made Jungmin's breath catch in her throat. Tears and sweat flowed freely, accompanied by trembling. Faced with their accusations, she kept denying, "No, it's not me. It's definitely not me. It wasn't me. It wasn't." Youngmin, terrified, unconsciously repeated her denials. She fearfully looked at Jahayan, breaking out in a cold sweat from the tension. Jahayan sneered and asked, "Really? Then prove it. Give me your phone." Hearing this, Youngmin instinctively put her hand over the phone resting on her desk. Tense, afraid, and stunned, she didn't know what to say next, for Jahayan had her cornered. Silence followed. All eyes, like an audience watching a play, were on her. Seeing she had no intention of handing it over, Jahayan quickly snatched the phone from the desk, ignoring Jungmin's protesting cries of no. Jahayan unlocked Jungmin's phone despite her struggles. "Give it back." Youngmin jumped up, trying to grab the phone back, but it was too late. Jahayan smirked at her and said, "The evidence is clear, and you still dare to talk back?" She threw the phone hard onto the desk. Youngmin tried to catch it, but she couldn't. The phone landed with a loud smack. On the screen was Jungmin's open account. Jahayan's voice was sharp as she questioned her. "My account, the one I was just looking at, and the one on my phone. It's you, isn't it?" The whispers grew louder. Wow, is Choi Youngmin crazy? Seriously insane. I hate physics, they gossiped, but no one cared about Jungmin's feelings. Her eyes welled up with tears. She bit her lip, fearfully widening her eyes as she listened to them curse her. She stammered, about to say something, Jahayan, when a sharp slap echoed against her cheek. Everyone around them, startled, fell silent and stared. Youngmin herself was completely taken aback. Jahayan had slapped her across the face, leaving her stunned. The force of the blow turned her head to the side, momentarily paralyzing her. She turned back to look at Jahayan, thinking, Jahayan stared at her like she was looking at an insect, her hand still raised from the slap. "Still denying it? It's you, isn't it?" Jahayan said, stubbornly refusing to let up. Youngmin lost her composure. Her eyes widened with fury, her heart pounding uncontrollably. Jahayan's image before her blurred. Youngmin wondered in anguish why. She raised her hand to cover the stinging cheek. Tears of resentment and humiliation welled up as she glared at Jahayan. Her head spun. Have I done something so wrong to deserve this? She screamed internally, remembering Jahayan's taunts. That hair covers your eyes. That's why you can't see anything. Then the whispers of her classmates echoed in her mind. Choi Youngmin didn't shower again before class. She still hasn't learned her lesson after being humiliated yesterday. It's impossible to understand people like you, Youngmin thought, the questions swirling in her mind. Why are you treating me like this? Tears streamed down her face. She bit her lip so hard it bled. What have I done that's so wrong? Youngmin stumbled up the stairs towards the teacher's office. Standing before the door, Youngmin opened it and walked in to see her teacher. "Excuse me, sir," she said politely. The teacher turned to her, waiting for her to continue. Seeing that he was listening, Youngmin continued, stammering, "I'm not feeling well. May I please go home early?" The teacher, noticing her face and the mark on her cheek, looked annoyed. What? But as he looked closer, he saw Jungmin's disheveled appearance. Her messy hair, rumpled clothes, swollen eyes with dark circles, and the visible mark on her face. He looked away. "You haven't even been in school that long. No, go back to class." After his refusal, he turned back and scolded her. "You know you're supposed to be behaving after skipping PE key last time? Back in my day, you would have gotten your leg broken for that. Youngmin snapped, interrupting him. Damn it, please. Then, trembling, she pleaded, please, just leave me alone. The teacher was taken aback and looked uncomfortable as he saw her face. Her eyes filled with despair and resentment, on the verge of tears, and her tangled black hair. Jahayan, Youngmin called out, as if Jahayan were kneeling before her. She continued, speaking in the same way Jahayan had spoken to her before. I'm here to see you again. I've been thinking about what you said, and it's strange, isn't it? Why? During all this time, I haven't been able to completely hate you. I'm the victim now. Youngmin stood over the imagined, kneeling Jahayan that I've asked myself so many times if doing this to anyone is okay. Youngmin grabbed Jahayan's hair, forcing her to look up. This is just a dream, right? No matter how I treat you here, it doesn't matter. Youngmin looked at Jahayan, a thrill running through her as she held the other girl's hair. But Jahayan stared back with fear in her eyes, her platinum hair clutched in Jungmin's hand. Compared to the crap you pull in reality, I'm being much more straightforward, Youngmin continued. Finally, she concluded, at least in this dream, I'm a god. I'm the law. I can do whatever I want. Then, in reality, Youngmin woke up. The first thing she heard were the scornful whispers of her classmates. A boy remarked, wow, that crazy girl still has the nerve to show up at school. Another girl replied, haha, she's got a thick skin. She sleeps in class every day and gets woken up by the homeroom teacher. I bet she's failing all her classes. But I don't think she was sleeping, though. Whatever, haha, I said it loud enough for her to hear. The two of them, realizing Youngmin had heard everything, didn't bother to apologize. As they walked away, they called back to her, Choi Youngmin, if you keep this up, you can forget about getting into college. You won't get a job, and you'll end up a beggar, you know? Their laughter, laced with mockery, faded away. After their laughter died down, they left Youngmin slumped over her desk. When the sounds finally ceased, she sat up, realizing the bullying was getting worse. With a disgusted and troubled expression, Youngmin thought, damn it, I really want to rip those bastards to shreds right now. Even though Jahayan still hates me the most, the rest of the class has started harassing me too. I can't kill that bitch. I'm going crazy. Youngmin assessed her current situation. She recalled the dream where she tormented Jahayan and then complained, I'm starting to get sick of this too. She mused the first couple of times. It felt exhilarating. Silently, she clenched her fists in front of her chest, lost in thought, but the suffocating feeling remained. Youngmin pondered, remembering the dream where she tried to strangle her father. She thought about how she felt then, her whole body tingling and trembling. Was that guilt from killing someone? Or was it pleasure? Then she remembered the dream where she brutally attacked Jahayan with scissors. From now on, I've decided I won't think anymore. If I want to do it, I will. Youngmin continued to imagine the dream scene, her eyes filled with resentment. It's just a dream, after all. She recalled how she gave up sleep and entered lucid dreaming just for this. She put her hand on her forehead, thinking, I should stop. It won't change anything anyway. She pictured Jahayan and her friends laughing at her and thought resolutely, that's right. No matter what I do in my dreams, it won't affect you in reality. She remembered the dream where Jahayan lay in a pool of blood, her red shirt vibrant, and herself, hair disheveled, clothes torn and stained with blood, staring in horror, tears streaming down her face, gasping for breath. Youngmin looked down from above at Jahayan, writhing in pain, her stomach a bloody mess, her body convulsing. Jahayan gasped raggedly, her face wet with tears, staring intently at Youngmin. Youngmin stared blankly at the scene before her. One last twitch. She lowered her eyelids slightly, looking at Jahayan with a satisfied smile. See, you should have treated me better. From afar, someone was quietly watching Jungmin's actions. He sat in the void of this blood-red dream, his chin resting on his hand, laughing with amusement. This girl is interesting. After school, Youngmin returned home. She smiled and stood in front of the mirror, smoothing her hair. I wonder if it's because I've relieved some of the stress, but my mood is better today than other days. On the bustling street, Youngmin, wearing her uniform, walked along, smiling cheerfully and looking around. She thought to herself, because I'm so used to it, I don't feel so tired after the lucid dreams anymore. Just as she opened the door and stepped inside, she heard the voice of a classmate, a friend of Jahayan's, talking Jahayan, still not contacting anyone. Youngmin, hearing this, was a little concerned and glanced back. They kept talking, I don't know. She's not answering my calls either. Youngmin was a little stunned, realizing, Jahyun didn't come to class today. Well, good. Don't ever come back. Lost in thought, her chin resting in her hand, the homeroom teacher walked in through the door. Settle down, everyone. Be quiet. I have a few announcements. After the teacher's words, everyone quickly quieted down. The teacher quickly stood up in front of the lectern. Today I have some news to share with you. This morning, Jahyun's parents contacted the school and said that due to an unexpected incident, Jahyun has been taken to the emergency room. Youngmin was surprised to hear the teacher's announcement about Jahyun. Jahyun's close friend quickly stood up and asked the teacher, her face full of worry, "Teacher, what happened to Jahyun?" After hearing the question, the teacher hesitated a little. This is a bit, but then relayed what Jahyun's mother had said. Jahyun was sleeping when she suddenly started bleeding and fainted. Youngmin was stunned and puzzled for a moment. She straightened her neck, removing her chin from her hand where it had been resting. Upon hearing this, whispers and intense chatter erupted from the surrounding students. Youngmin thought, injured while sleeping? Does that even make sense? She recalled the scene of stabbing Jahyun in her dream. She lowered her head, no longer looking straight ahead, thinking to herself, could it be? But then she dismissed the thought that it can't be. There's no way. Youngmin grimaced slightly, sweat trickling down her face. Then she contradicted her own denial. But what if it's the influence of my lucid dream? She wondered, even though she knew it was impossible. But what if I can control Jahyun? Sometimes those driven to desperation want to believe that even this coincidence is a miracle. Jungmin's face was filled with satisfaction, excitement, and a sinister smile. She excitedly wondered, could it be that I possess some special ability? Youngmin glanced at the chatter around her. She looked at everyone, then seemed to regain her composure. She chuckled to herself, what stupid thoughts am I having? It's like God is laughing at my foolish delusion. Jahyun quickly recovered and returned to school. Two of Jahyun's friends hugged her tightly, shouting, Jahyun. Youngmin heard them from afar, but didn't pay much attention to it. They chattered amongst themselves, asking and answering each other. Are you in a lot of pain? Are you okay now? Jahyun responded to their questions. Hey, the wound ripped open again. Oh my God, where were you hurt? Youngmin tried to block out their words, but quickly lost patience, cursing inwardly. Damn it. Looking at how concerned they were for someone else. These people whose consciences were smaller than a booger truly disgusted her to the point of nausea. Youngmin watched them chatter, making her own internal commentary. Resting her chin on her hand, she regained her composure. Ignoring them, she suddenly heard one of the girls ask Jahyun, but how did you get hurt? Jahyun replied, well, I had a rather strange dream. The girl asked, what kind of dream? Their conversation piqued Jungmin's interest. She leaned closer to hear them speak. Jahyun recounted, in my dream, someone was chasing me as if they wanted to kill me. Then they stabbed me with a knife. The feeling was so real, it hurt so much, and I fell down. And then I tried to get up and saw blood flowing from my stomach. Jahyun's face was still filled with fear as she told the story. Her friend asked, oh my God, do you remember the face of the person who appeared in your dream? Jahyun brought a hand to her face, feigning a look of recollection mixed with fear. It's been a few days, so I don't remember clearly. I only remember it was a man, and his hair was white. Youngmin was a little surprised to hear this. A man, she wondered to herself. Suddenly, Heejin looked towards Youngmin and saw her eavesdropping on their conversation. The three of them then walked over to where Youngmin was sitting and leaned down, asking in a sharp tone, hey, you bitch, where did you come from eavesdropping on other people's conversations like a rat? The three of them stared at her. You think it's funny that someone got hurt, don't you? Youngmin felt a mix of awkwardness, anxiety, and guilt as they exposed her eavesdropping. One of them cursed, you crazy bitch. Youngmin thought, I'm dead. Then came more curses from Heejin. Are you just going to sit there? Get up. She leaned closer to Youngmin, who was now filled with fear, unsure how to respond. Seeing her silence, Heejin continued to berate her. Damn, just looking at your face makes me want to kill someone. Jahyun intervened. All right, Heejin. Why waste time on someone like her? It's such a pity. Jahyun looked at Youngmin with a smug expression, pushing her friends away as she sneered. Choi Youngmin, you were pretty happy when I wasn't at school, weren't you? Because your face always looks like you're at a funeral. That's why you're being treated like this. It's all your karma. The three of them continued to laugh and talk amongst themselves. Kim Hee-jin got angry again. Seriously, she made me mad first. If it weren't for Jahyun, you would have been bullied already. Youngmin sat stunned, watching them come and go as they pleased. They exclaimed, Jahyun really is a bodhisattva. Youngmin was disgusted when she heard this. They dare call themselves a bodhisattva. Then Youngmin fell into a lucid dream. In the dream, she stood, angry and indignant, pointing at her chest and saying, "My face makes people want to kill someone. Why don't you just say outright that just looking at my face makes you want to kill me?" She grabbed Hai Jin's shirt, who was on the ground, and cursed right in her face. Youngmin glared. "So guess what I think when I look at you?" She grabbed Hai Jin by the collar. She gritted her teeth, unable to do anything. Seeing no reaction, Youngmin yelled at Hai Jin. Hai Jin was so scared she couldn't react. Youngmin released her. "You should try experiencing what Ha Jahayan felt." She raised her hand, and a knife slowly materialized. Then she continued, "I'd be grateful if you also happen to get hurt like that bitch, Jahayan." Youngmin held the knife, her eyes burning with resentment, about to stab down, when a voice rang out, making her pause. "Let me fulfill that wish for you." Youngmin stopped her action and quickly turned towards the source of the voice. She saw a young man with white hair, arms crossed, looking at her with a gentle, harmless smile. Youngmin was stunned when she saw him. Questions raced through her mind. I never summoned him." She froze, unable to move. The scene around her vanished, replaced by a white void. Hai Jin could see the white-haired young man walking slowly towards Youngmin. Youngmin panicked inwardly. "He's even walking towards me." The silver-haired young man looked at her, smiling gently, showing no hostility. Youngmin fidgeted nervously, looking at him, then at her own hands. "Why can't I control this dream?" She screamed internally. "What is this guy's name?" She wondered again. As if understanding her anxiety, he explained, "The dream suddenly isn't going your way, so you're confused, aren't you?" He bent down towards her, his face close to hers, and whispered. His hand grasped her aimlessly outstretched hand. He smiled kindly, while Youngmin stared at him in surprised confusion. He continued, "No matter what you do, it's useless because I'm not something you created." He stared at her, a smile on his lips. Seeing Jungmin's confusion, he said, "I'll get straight to the point, Choi Youngmin." Half kneeling, half sitting, he told her, "I'm very pleased with you. I can completely eliminate those who bully you." He spoke with a serious expression. "What do you think?" "I wish they would all disappear," a strange voice replied. "Let me fulfill that wish for you, Choi Youngmin." Youngmin was taken aback. A white-haired teenager, whom she didn't recognize, appeared before her. "I've never met him before. What is this guy's name?" The teenager suddenly moved closer to Choi Jungmin's face, a slight smile on his lips, his eyes sharp and dangerous, as he grabbed her hand. "The dream suddenly isn't going your way, so you're confused, aren't you? No matter what you do, it's useless because I'm not something you created." The teenager said, and I'll get straight to the point, Choi Youngmin. "I'm very pleased with you. I can completely eliminate those who bully you. What do you think?" Choi Youngmin, completely unable to keep up with the conversation, just stared blankly. "You said eliminate them? How?" Faced with Choi Jungmin's question, the teenager smiled without saying anything. Seeing this, Choi Youngmin fell silent. She thought of an important question. "Who are you?" Ignoring the change in the teenager's expression, Choi Youngmin continued, "This is my dream, and I've never met anyone like you before. Oh, looking at the things you've done in this dream, I thought you were quite simple and reckless." The teenager said, "I didn't expect our meeting to begin with you doubting me, and with such a nonchalant attitude at that." Choi Youngmin flinched slightly. "Seems like some kind of scam." Before the teenager could finish speaking, Choi Youngmin lunged forward and grabbed him. "You saw it, didn't you?" she demanded. The teenager, a little surprised by her reaction, simply stared back. Choi Youngmin pressed him. "Did you see everything?" As if transformed into a different person, she continued to question him. "Since when were you watching?" The teenager smirked. "You think I'd tell anyone? Stupid. Who would believe me anyway? It's just a dream after all." Choi Youngmin didn't loosen her grip. The teenager had to pry her hands off himself. "Let go, Choi Youngmin," he said. "And like I said, I want to help you." Choi Youngmin, still preoccupied with the stranger's identity, asked, "Who are you? How did you get into my dream? You're not some kind of god, are you?" "Right, I'm not a god," the teenager admitted. "And it seems you don't recognize me," he added, the last part muttered under his breath. Choi Youngmin couldn't hear him clearly and wanted to ask him to repeat himself. The teenager quickly changed the subject. After a moment of contemplation, he said, "Since you're having a lucid dream, I assume you've researched it, right? Do you know about Jismin?" he asked. Choi Jungmin's eyes widened out. "Of course I do. A man who can enter anyone's dreams without being controlled by the dreamer." but that's just an urban legend. Could Jismin actually exist? Seeing that Choi Young-min knew the story, the teenager saved himself the explanation. You could say I'm Jismin, he declared. Choi Young-min remained skeptical. He looked nothing like the pictures online. Jismin doesn't care if you believe me or not. I've answered your question, so now it's your turn. Will you join me in delivering divine retribution? If you want those people dead, I can consider it. He suddenly stepped closer, his dangerous words delivered with a chilling calmness that startled and frightened Choi Young-min. What are you? She whispered, fear gripping her. What are you to make such an offer? She suddenly remembered the story Ha Jae-hyun had told her. She was chased and stabbed by someone with a knife. The pain was so real she collapsed. When she woke up, she was bleeding from her stomach, and that person was a man with white hair. The description perfectly matched the person claiming to be Jismin. Jismin spoke, snapping Choi Young-min out of her thoughts. Ignoring his self-proclaimed title, she immediately turned and ran. She was starting to believe he really was Jismin, the person Ha Jae-hyun had spoken of. If that were true, she really wanted him to get rid of those bitches. But from the very beginning, he had given her a bad feeling. She couldn't trust him. Her best friend had ended up like that, so there was no reason to trust a complete stranger. And if he really was the person Ha Jae-hyun had mentioned, she should stay away from him. Choi Young-min ran in fear, Jismin's image still haunting her thoughts. Left behind, Jismin didn't bother chasing her. He just scoffed. Scared, are you? Back in reality, the classroom was as usual. Choi Young-min was still being bullied. They taunted and humiliated her with their words, but she ignored them. She just sat there, motionless, until they got bored and left. Standing at the classroom door, Jae-hyun watched everything. Not even going to react, huh? She remarked. Do-hyun, someone called from behind that it's Do the teacher's calling for the class president in the office. Do-hyun smiled and thanked them before leaving. Behind her, two students praised her. School ended. Choi Young-min wearily headed home, but she didn't want to go home at all. As she walked, she gloomily thought about herself, how she was nothing when not in a dream. Suddenly, she noticed something on the ground. It was a sticker dropped by the person in front of her. Choi Young-min hesitated, unsure if she should call out to them over something so small. But then the person ahead realized their sticker was missing. They frantically searched themselves. It was a rare sticker, and they had used all their allowance money meant for bread to buy it. At that moment, Choi Young-min approached and returned the sticker to its owner. The teenager was overjoyed and thanked her profusely, even initiating a conversation with Choi Young-min. His handsome features made Young-min blush. She was both surprised and suspicious. I only returned a sticker, she thought. Doesn't he see how gloomy I am? After a while, the teenager suddenly remembered that he seemed to have met Choi Young-min before when they bumped into each other. Right? The teenager asked with a smile. Choi Young-min was surprised that someone remembered her after such a brief encounter. I'm Jae-hyo. The teenager introduced himself. If we meet again, can I say hello to you? Choi Young-min had no reason to refuse. The two said goodbye and went their separate ways. Choi Young-min marveled at how strange the world was. They were clearly strangers with nothing to talk about, but she didn't hate it. How long has it been since I talked to someone? Choi Young-min smiled and murmured, Cho Jae-hyo. My name is Cho Jae-hyuk. If we happen to meet again, can I say hello to you? Young-min was momentarily stunned by Jae-hyuk's suggestion. Then she quickly reacted and replied, He smiled brightly, radiating sunshine, responding with delight. Amazing, Young-min thought to herself. Just a moment ago, everything was so bad I really wanted to break down and cry. Even though I'm shy and don't know what to say to him, I don't hate this feeling. Then Jae-hyo said goodbye to Young-min and left. She watched him walk away, her waving hand slowly lowering. She thought to herself, how long has it been since I talked this much to someone? The next morning, Young-min left for school as usual. I'm going to school, she called out, stepping out the door and closing it behind her with her arm. She wondered why she hadn't been having lucid dreams lately. As soon as she lay down, she just slept soundly. Lost in thought as she walked, she mused, but ever since that guy appeared, I've been feeling restless. I wonder if I should go back there. Young-min recalled the man from before. What was he, really? His image, along with his smile, appeared in her mind. No matter how much she thought about it, she couldn't figure it out. Young-min brought her hand to her chin, lost in thought, not noticing a classmate approaching from behind. Subconsciously, Young-min sensed someone looking at her from behind and felt someone approaching. She turned around to see who it was. Jae-hyo, caught red-handed, froze with his hand raised mid-air. I was just trying to surprise you, he explained. Under the golden morning sunlight filtering through his brown hair, The scene felt a little awkward. DeHue smiled apologetically, glancing away, unable to meet Jungmin's eyes. Startled, she blurted out, Jae-hyuk? The current distance between her and Jae-hyuk made Jungmin a little flustered. Too close. Then Jae-hyuk, using his hands which were hovering over his own bag straps, waved to her. A smile spread across his face, his eyes crinkling closed as he cheerfully said, "Good morning." Jungmin shyly stepped forward, trying to avoid him as she stammered, "We meet again." Her face turned away, flushing as her eyes darted around. Jae-hyuk, still enthusiastic, smiled and said to her, "So it seems our school schedules overlap quite a bit." He grinned. Jungmin stole a glance at him, still embarrassed. She remembered their first encounter, and Jae-hyuk's words echoed in her head. "If we happen to meet again, can I say hello?" She watched him, still beaming, and lost herself in thought. "I thought it was just a polite thing to say. But he actually came right up to me and started talking yeah." Seeing him like that, Jungmin couldn't help but look at herself and make an involuntary comparison. Just by looking at the atmosphere around him, you can tell. Thinking this, Jungmin's expression became somewhat dazed as she looked at Jae-hyuk, bringing a hand to her chest. "He's exactly the type of person who lives in a different world than me." Jungmin realized. Snapping out her thoughts, she stammered a reply, "Is that so?" Jungmin felt a flicker of happiness. Jae-hyuk, seeing this, replied, "Well then, let's go." The unexpected joy made Jungmin uneasy. So that's the problem. They walked to school together, neither saying a word. The atmosphere was somewhat awkward. Jungmin walked slightly behind Jae-hyuk. She glanced at his back. Jungmin, averting her embarrassed gaze, raised a hand to scratch her face. Suddenly, Jae-hyuk spoke, breaking the silence. His voice startled Jungmin, who stammered, "Huh?" She turned to look at him, her expression flustered. Jae-hyuk continued, "Before I met you, I was talking on the phone with a friend, remember? But after talking to you on the way home," he called again. Jungmin interrupted, asking, "Do you know LL?" Jungmin stammered, yeah. Jae-hyuk continued walking and talking that I was going to climb ranked with him, but then I said I had to go find a sticker and would join later, so I guess he had to play alone. But he kept losing, so he called me to vent. Honestly, I can't stand him. He loses on his own and then blames me. Well, of course, it's because he's bad, so we have to play together to increase our win rate. Jae-hyuk talked nonstop, while Jungmin just walked beside him and listened. Jungmin, struggling to keep up, stammered, really? Her nervousness was evident on her face. Internally, she wondered, what am I supposed to say in these situations? Jae-hyuk continued to chatter. Even though he's a bit much, he's pretty good, so I have to play with him again after school today. After hearing him, another question arose in Jungmin's mind. Is there anything appropriate to say to him in this situation? Jungmin realized, this is it. This is what it's like. It's like I'm spacing out instead of paying attention to what he's saying. After the stilted conversation, everything fell silent again. Jungmin dejectedly thought, I'm doomed. She couldn't think of anything else to say. She lowered her head, falling silent for a moment. How did I become like this? I wasn't like this when I was younger. His silence made her think, now he's not saying anything either. He's definitely tired of me. Thinking this, Jungmin couldn't help but feel dejected. He must think I'm pretending, like I'm just listening to him say, oh, just forget it. What can a girl like me expect? Like I can comfortably talk to a boy. Jungmin's disappointment in herself gradually turned into acceptance. But then she sank back into thought. Looking at him, she thought, I don't want to end like this with him. Jungmin pulled a sticker from her pocket. It had a cartoon character on it. She stammered, this sticker from back then. Jungmin turned to Jae-hyuk and asked, you seem to really like that series, right? I'm also a little interested in manga. She tried to sound enthusiastic. What's it called? Jungmin thought to herself, actually, I'm not interested at all, but she didn't expect him to get so excited. You like reading manga too? Jae-hyuk looked at her excitedly and asked, really? When I showed it to my friends, none of them cared. He added, Jungmin, you have good taste. To keep the conversation going, Jungmin stammered, well, back then it was the first time I saw it, but it looked pretty cute, so? He continued, right? At first, I thought it was so cute too, so I started reading it. But after reading it, I realized it's not just some simple, cute manhwa. It's not just funny, it also has these life lessons. You wouldn't believe how much I cried after finishing volume 24 of season 1 of Don't Fly Away, Hadiyak Man. He mimicked the character's poses. Jungmin thought, oh my god, even the title is a knockoff, but she didn't dare say it out loud while he kept gushing. But I really hate how my friends make fun of it every day, calling it a fake Hadiyak Man. He continued, I also checked the original comic to see if it was plagiarized, but it's not even remotely similar. Those guys need to read it it themselves to understand. Youngmin walked beside him silently, not knowing what to say, just watching and listening. Youngmin, when you get home, you definitely have to read Don't Fly Away, Hadiok Man. Tell me what you think. Okay, Jae-hyuk said, smiling brightly. Then he suddenly realized, all right, I don't have your number yet. Jae-hyuk turned to Youngmin and asked her for it. He pulled out his phone and said, tell me your number. Youngmin quietly complied, reciting her number 010 XXXX. Then, Jungmin's phone rang, surprising her. Jae-hyuk, with a beaming smile, said, that's me. Say my number, okay. She opened her phone, a little stunned, then smiled at him and said, okay. We're here, Jae-hyuk exclaimed. Youngmin stopped, a little startled, in front of the school gates. Jae-hyuk urged her, hurry up and go inside. You'll be late for class. I still have so much more to tell you. We're already here? That's a shame. She was a little surprised and stammered. Did you enjoy talking to me? Jae-hyuk smiled and replied, of course. I still have so much I want to tell you. She said excitedly, if you're okay with it, can I call you later? We can walk home together. Youngmin smiled, waiting for his answer. Jae-hyuk replied, okay. Then they both went to class. Just like he said, our relationship had developed to the point walking home together after school. After several times like this, I gradually became closer to Jae-hyuk. She thought about the two of them walking side by side after school, chatting happily, and then heading home. She opened the door, stepped inside, and smiled, thinking to herself, today I'm also enthusiastic about that series, huh? It's strange how a stranger can be so passionate about something. She picked up her phone and searched for something, thinking, since it's like this, should I give it a try? Youngmin took off her uniform. Lying on the bed watching the anime and smiling, she recalled Jae-hyuk's words. I really hate it when my friends make fun of it every day, saying it's a fake shonen. I thought I'd read that manga too, to see if it's plagiarized or not, but it's really not similar at all. Then she suddenly exclaimed, wow. Haha, night has fallen. It's fun. She texted Jae-hyuk that I've read the manga you recommended. Really? How is it? It's awesome, right? Yeah, it's interesting. She thought to herself, it seems like this is the first time I've felt this feeling, even though school is still hell. She remembered being bullied and scorned at school. Those bastards are getting more and more sarcastic and picking fights with me, but it's okay. Her phone suddenly chimed with a message that let's go home together today, too. She smiled as she read the message. Just talking to him makes my mood so much better. In the school restroom, is Choi Young-min on the wrong medication these days? Sometimes I see her glued to her phone, giggling to herself. She's probably not still talking behind our backs on social media, is she? God, if that's true, she's crazy. Has she already forgotten what happened back then? Haha. The group who often bullied Young-min, including Hyun, Sora, and Jahyun, were discussing her. Hyun tilted her head and cursed, ugh, this is so annoying. Sora, hearing this, spoke up, suggesting, if you're annoyed, why don't you try that trick again like before? You scare those brats. Hearing this, Hyun flinched slightly, then fell silent after receiving a disapproving look from Jahyun. Then she excused herself. Why are we bringing up the past? It wasn't a good thing. Jahyun remained silent, then crossed her arms and said, let's go back to class. It's time to greet the teacher at the end of the day. Sora excitedly ran off. Okay, let's go home. Later, in the late afternoon, the bell signaling the end of classes rang. Goodbye, teacher. Jahyun was walking home alone. She saw Young-min and Jae-hyuk talking happily together, causing her to pause and stare for a moment. She wondered to herself, Choi Young-min, as if she couldn't believe her eyes. Watching Young-min laughing and talking made her remember how she used to be. She couldn't help but fall silent, then looked at Jae-hyuk with curiosity. Who is that? Reading the messages between herself and Jae-hyuk, Young-min felt very happy. Being with Jae-hyuk, Young-min realized how interesting this feeling was. Moreover, it seemed like the first time she had ever felt it. Seeing Young-min happy, Jahyun felt incredibly irritated. In addition, the whispers of some girls. Is Choi Young-min on the wrong medication these days? Sometimes I see her glued to her phone, giggling to herself, made Jahyun even more uncomfortable. Jahyun stared intently at Young-min. She noticed Young-min acting differently lately. Late in the afternoon, after school let out, Jahyun walked home alone. On her way, she happened to see Young-min and Jae-hyuk walking together. Moreover, they were laughing and talking cheerfully. Jahyun was momentarily taken aback. Her gaze inadvertently met Jungmin's radiant smile as she chatted with Jae-hyuk. It reminded Jahyun of her own past self when she, too, could smile so innocently back when she and Young-min were close friends. A pang of discomfort struck her. Glancing at the person walking with Youngmin, she wondered, who is that guy Jungmin's with? Suddenly, Johyun recalled the morning's events, the amused expressions, and the gossip about Youngmin. She realized, so, he's the reason Jungmin's been so cheerful lately. Continuing to watch Youngmin and the boy chatting intimately as they walked, Johyun felt a growing irritation. You seem awfully happy, she thought. Well, right when I'm getting bored because you haven't been reacting to anything lately. I wonder what kind of face you'll make if you're betrayed by the people you trust, just like me. Thinking this, Johyun couldn't help but bring her fingernail to her teeth and bite down, her expression and actions revealing a fierce anticipation to witness such a scene. The next morning, after the teacher announced the end of class, Youngmin gathered her books and headed to her locker to exchange them for her math materials. Reaching her locker, Youngmin looked up and was startled to find Hyun, the red-haired girl who often bullied her, standing there with her arms crossed. Seeing Hyun, Youngmin cursed inwardly. Damn it, why do I have to run into her? Youngmin braced herself for Hyun's usual torment. But this time, Hyun's behavior was strange. She simply glanced at Youngmin, muttered something under her breath, and walked away. Youngmin was stunned by Hyun's unusual behavior. That what's wrong with her today? Normally, she'd be yelling in my face. Then she remembered, they haven't been bullying me much lately. Since Johyun and her group haven't been starting anything with me, the others in class haven't bothered either. Youngmin glanced back at her classmates, who were chatting and laughing amongst themselves, oblivious to her. Seeing this, a pang of loneliness struck Youngmin. She turned back to her locker, disappointed. It hasn't changed. I'm still alone in class. But I don't hate coming to school as much as I used to. Now that I have Jae-hyuk, things are a little easier. Suddenly, her phone vibrated, interrupting her thoughts. She picked it up, immediately thinking of Jae-hyuk. It was him. He'd sent her a picture of his desk with a sticker on it and was complaining about it. Seeing Jae-hyuk being teased by his friends, Youngmin couldn't help but burst out laughing. There were still two people standing behind her, silently observing Ophelia's actions. A while later, as Ophelia sat alone, pondering over recent events, she realized that no one was directly bullying her anymore. There were more happy moments. And even though she wasn't having lucid dreams anymore, Ophelia still felt okay. Although the main reason for this was that ever since the white-haired man in the patient gown appeared, she felt anxious, which was why she stopped having lucid dreams. She was lost in her thoughts. Ophelia was startled awake when she heard someone calling her name. She looked up and saw two unfamiliar faces. A worried thought crossed her mind. Are they here to bully me? Suddenly, one of them plopped down beside her, smiled, and started a conversation that you've been looking at your phone and smiling a lot lately. Who are you talking to? Ophelia. Ophelia felt uneasy that, oh dear, have I been smiling a lot? Someone like me smiling could make them uncomfortable. I've been too carefree. Suddenly, the person said, seeing you smile makes me happy. These words completely surprised Ophelia. She had never dared to think that someone in her class would find her smile a good thing. Stunned, she looked at the two people in front of her. The girl who had just spoken continued, you should have been happy like this sooner. It's so much better than before. Ophelia, do you want to come with us? The person continued, leaving Ophelia speechless and staring in astonishment. Her expression seemed to say, this isn't real, is it? Seeing Ophelia's dumbfounded look, the other girl said, why are you so spaced out? You don't have anyone to hang out with anyway. Hey, why would you say that? Honestly, if it weren't for Hyun, she'd have plenty of friends. Ophelia finally stammered, excuse me, but what are your names? Hearing Ophelia's question, the girl who was sitting stood up and slammed her hand on the table. You're going too far. You don't even know your classmates' names. Ophelia was startled by her fierce reaction and stuttered an apology. Then the girl introduced herself. Listen closely. I'm Choi Soja, and she's Co Yunju. Remember that. Then Yunju said, got it? Now, let's go to the cafeteria. The two of them immediately turned and left. Seeing them turn away so quickly, Ophelia felt a pang of disappointment. Aren't you coming? Ophelia, who was staring down at the table, immediately shot up and anxiously asked, can I come too? Didn't you hear what we just said? Hurry up. Yunju's reply made Ophelia's heart sore. She smiled emotionally and quickly followed them. However, having been isolated for so long, Ophelia couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. Can someone like me really hang out with them? Do they have some other motive? But those thoughts were quickly dismissed as they did simple things together, like going to the bathroom together, eating lunch together, and occasionally going to the cafeteria together. Because for someone like Ophelia, having friends like these was truly precious. One fine day, As the three of them were walking together again today, Ophelia asked that I'm really sorry. I'll definitely pay you back tomorrow, Soja said, joining her hands in front of her and bowing her head. I won't get my allowance for another week. So could you wait until then? Yunju, standing beside her, chimed in, Oh my gosh, Soja, I knew you'd say that. Soja explained, my parents are away on business, so I get my allowance later than usual. The atmosphere suddenly became tense, making Ophelia momentarily unsure of what to do. She quickly changed the subject, turning to Soja and asking, what did you say you wanted to eat earlier? Let's go together today. My treat, and Yunju's too. Soja's eyes lit up, and she excitedly said, Wow, really? Then I'll have chocolate toast and a cafe, ole. Seeing the situation improve, Ophelia breathed a sigh of relief. That was close. They almost fought. She held on to the hope that this friendship would last. After school, after packing her books in her bag, Ophelia saw her two friends and hurried over to them, asking warmly, Are you two going home now? She then offered for them to walk home together. That I actually promised to go with someone else. But if we're going in the same direction, let's go together. We're not going home. We're going out this weekend, so we're planning to buy some makeup and clothes. Ophelia, slightly disappointed, asked, Just the two of you? Yeah, we heard there's a new game at the arcade, so we're going there. Oh, I see. Ophelia's mood sank. Didn't Soja say she didn't have any money? She then mustered up the courage to ask then, Can I go with you to look at makeup? A sudden burst of laughter made Ophelia freeze. What? She asked. They both laughed and replied, Nothing, sorry. But you wouldn't know anything about it anyway. It wouldn't be fun for you to tag along. Then came the polite rejections like, Anyway, we'll see you next week. We'd feel bad if you came along and didn't enjoy it. After the two said goodbye to Ophelia at the school gate, hurtful thoughts flooded her mind. Right, they haven't been friends with me for very long. They've been friends since elementary school, so of course they're closer than me. She told herself it was okay. It's just me being oversensitive. That's all it is. The following week, when Ophelia arrived at school, she hesitated in the hallway, not wanting to enter the classroom. The image of Soja and Yunju talking together flashed in her mind. She tried to reassure herself, having resolved not to dwell on it anymore. Anyway, they didn't mean anything by it. Finally, she ignored her apprehension and opened the door, stepping inside. As soon as she entered, Soja saw her and called out warmly, Ophelia, come here quickly. I want to show you something. Ophelia replied with a yeah, but her eyes unconsciously drifted towards Haru's group. Like last time, they didn't even glance at Ophelia, seemingly not caring anymore, focused on their phones. Then, Youngmin went to her seat and sat down. Sora immediately approached excitedly, holding her phone out in front of Youngmin. Look at CO Yinju's expression. She acts tough, but she wouldn't dare play those scary games. And she was showing off to me like she's so good at those games. Youngmin looked at the phone screen, then burst out laughing. Aha, she said cheerfully. Then she asked, Sora, was the amusement park fun? MHM, it was probably because it was a new game. It was super fun. Sora replied. Then she invited Youngmin to go with her next week. Sora explained that she had already bought the tickets before playing with Youngmin, so she couldn't go with her this time. Oh, Youngmin, hearing that, a weight seemed to lift from Jungmin's heart. She felt touched that I've been overthinking things these past few days. They were thinking of me all along. A moment later, CEO Yunju walked in and, seeing the two of them, said, Choi Youngmin, you're here. What are you two talking about? I'm showing Youngmin the pictures we took at the amusement park, Sora replied. Hearing this, Yunju suddenly exclaimed, Wait, don't tell me it's that picture of me. You showed it to Youngmin? Sora realized what Yunju was talking about and laughed mischievously. That's right, that legendary moment of yours. Why wouldn't I show her? Sora was teasing, grinning, when suddenly Yunju stepped closer, her face right up against Sora's. In a furious voice, she said, Choi Sora, did I give you permission to show Youngmin that picture? Sora, surprised by Yunju's serious reaction, stammered, Not yet, but I didn't think I needed to ask. Didn't think you needed to ask? Yunju interrupted, then glared angrily at Sora and launched into a tirade. Oh, you know how inconsiderate you always are? I've told you to fix that so many times. Isn't it enough that you take pictures of people without their permission? Now you're showing them to others to make fun of them? Is this your specialty? That's illegal, you know. Youngmin felt Yunju's reaction was a bit excessive. She chuckled nervously. Isn't that a bit much? How is it illegal? Then the two of them started bickering, making Young-min feel like she was sitting on pins and needles. A moment later, Sora turned and walked away fine. Have we ever really resolved anything by talking about it? I'll delete the picture, okay? She grumbled, always so moody. Yunju sighed. Who's the one who never listens? Seeing them argue like this, Young-min felt a little worried. She turned to Yunju and asked, are you okay? I didn't think you'd be so upset. I'm sorry about the picture. Yunju, hearing Jungmin's words, felt incredibly annoyed, even a little contemptuous. She didn't reply to Young-min, just muttered a curse under her breath and turned to leave. As soon as Yunju left, Young-min received a text from Choi Sora, asking her to meet her in the teacher's restroom on the first floor. Young-min immediately went there. Seeing Sora standing alone inside, Young-min said, are you okay? I apologized to Yunju. Let's go back to class. The bell's about to ring. Having been silent until Young-min arrived, Sora suddenly erupted, yelling and cursing at CO Yunju like a madwoman. She continued ranting about CO Yunju. She's always acting like that behind my back, saying this and that. Isn't it annoying? Ever since elementary school, she's always made fun of me and lectured me. Did she say anything else to you? You don't have to tell me. I already know. You haven't done anything. So why is she upset with you? Plus, every word out of her mouth is about rules and laws. Isn't that ridiculous? If it's something she's studying or whatever, I wouldn't even bother. Young-min, you should be careful too. Also, she's copying Ha Ji-hyun, so don't be too trusting. Young-min had been silently listening until now, feeling a bit annoyed. Actually, she wasn't paying much attention. But hearing this, she suddenly asked in surprise, what? Go on, Sora. She continued, don't you know how obsessed she is with Ha Ji-hyun? Honestly, if she had the chance, she'd ditch you and pull the same depraved stunts as Ha Ji-hyun. She said you're so pathetic and look like you want to give up on life. She doesn't like Kim Hae-jin or Yu at all, but she absolutely idolizes Ha Ji-hyun. Actually, everyone in class knows that your relationship with Ha Ji-hyun isn't very good. Even though I like Ha Ji-hyun being friends with you, I won't care about her anymore after this. Hearing Sora keep mentioning Ha Ji-hyun, Young-min felt a little uneasy. She anxiously wanted to ask Sora something, but before she could finish her sentence, Sora, seeing what Young-min was about to say, gave a sincere smile and replied, of course I'm on your side. Then she added, I'm only telling you this, okay? You absolutely have to keep it a secret. A while later, after the three of them went out together, Young-min sat alone on a bench, watching Yunju and Sora teasing each other and laughing happily. She thought, their relationship is more complicated than I thought. But after all that, they were as close as ever. Then, taking a sip of her drink, she thought, even so, I'm very content with my life right now. Because out of the three of us, the one who'll be left out isn't me. That fact made her feel at ease. Just as she was thinking, Young-min ran over to them when Sora called her. She completely trusted Sora's words that she would be on her side. That night, lying in bed, Young-min thought back over the day. Another day spent just focusing on those two. But still, compared to being ostracized, I'm much happier. It'd be a shame to just fall asleep like this, wouldn't it? Young-min thought. Then, the idea of having a lucid dream popped into her head. But she worried, what if that strange man appears again? It doesn't matter anymore. Young-min closed her eyes. She wanted to fly today, to float up into the blue sky. Just as she entered the lucid dream, a voice suddenly rang out beside Jungmin's, "Oh, you finally come." Young-min opened her eyes. The man's face was right in front of her, staring directly at her. Young-min instinctively screamed and recoiled. He continued, I've been waiting for you for days. I was bored to death. Young-min, hearing this, panicked. You were waiting for me? Why me? The man stroked his chin, looked at her, and smiled. Just because I find you so interesting. Besides, I told you before, I really want to help you. Why would you want to help me? Young-min asked suspiciously. For a student, school life is like their whole life. I felt sorry for you being in such a difficult situation, so, before he could finish his sentence, Young-min interrupted. You say I'm in a difficult situation? Who? Why am I the one who needs help? Then, Young-min suddenly became angry. Don't treat me like some pitiful person just because of what you've seen here. Remembering the times they spent together, playing and talking with Soja and Yunju, Young-min wanted to tell him, I'm not being bullied, but the words caught in her throat. Young-min couldn't get them out. She could only repeat, but seeing this, the man pressed her. What's wrong? Why Why did you stop talking? Then he continued, actually, I haven't seen you around lately, so I had a feeling. Your life has been easier recently, hasn't it? Being guessed correctly startled Youngmin slightly, but she remained silent. Seeing that, he continued, but can you guarantee that it will last? Those you hate haven't been punished yet. Doesn't that bother you? Have you ever thought that if it weren't for them, everything would be perfect? After continuously using these psychological attacks on Youngmin, the man proposed, so let me help you to truly be free. His confidence made Youngmin suspicious. Just who the hell is this guy? Who is he to say he'll help me? Recalling his words, Youngmin's mind wavered a little. She couldn't refute his points. It was as if he knew the anxieties she hadn't been able to face herself. The more she thought about it, the more logical his words seemed. But she was content with her life now. She had almost decided to have nothing to do with them anymore. But apparently not. Youngmin was starting to trust the man. She felt he was uncovering hidden corners she couldn't be honest about with others, or rather, with herself. Both remained silent for a long while. Then the man leaned in, whispering close to Youngmin's face, "Do you want to carry out justice with me?" These words should have sounded righteous, but now they felt chilling. He extended his hand to Youngmin. "Come on, if you want those people dead, I'll consider it." Youngmin's hand reached out halfway, then stopped. She hesitated for a long time, but in the end, she pulled her hand back. Youngmin felt that her current peace was good enough. She only needed this much. It was best to avoid those people as much as possible. She really didn't want to get involved with them anymore. Hearing this, he immediately withdrew his hand, his face losing some of its amusement and excitement. "Is that so? Too bad. However, if you change your mind, come find me anytime. Who knows? Maybe there will be more people who tire you out." He continued. Youngmin asked, "What do you mean?" "Like, I don't know." He pretended to think. Then he suddenly asked, "Do you have any friends now?" Youngmin replied, "Of course, why wouldn't I?" Then it could be them. Youngmin reacted fiercely, shouting at him, "It's not them." This seemed to be Youngmin's greatest fear, so she couldn't help but vehemently deny at the moment it was mentioned. Startled by the shout, the man stumbled back a few steps, trembling. "Whoa, if it's not them, then it's not them. Why are you yelling at me?" He thought Youngmin was trying to protect her friends, but when he looked again, he saw the fear on her face. Not only that, but Youngmin was also muttering repeatedly, "It's not them. It's not them." Looking at Youngmin, the man just chuckled, reassuring her, all right. If you say it's not them, then it's not them." The next morning in class, Sora took out her phone, typed messages into group chats, and smiled with amusement. Suddenly, Youngmin approached her, wanting to invite Sora to go to the cafeteria together. Hearing this, Sora inwardly thought Youngmin was annoying. Then, looking at her phone, she coldly asked, "Has Yindu gone to the bathroom yet?" Youngmin replied, "Yes," and then asked, "Can I go with Yindu?" "Why are you asking?" Sora questioned. "Isn't it because you felt uncomfortable with Yindu? So if you're okay with it, I'll go with her. If not, let's just go quickly and come back." Sora glanced at Youngmin, feelings of annoyance surfacing in her mind. Look at her. Just a few comforting words, and she's forgotten her place. Thinking this, Sora put on a bright smile and linked arms with Youngmin cheerfully. "All right, let's go. I have something I want to hear from you anyway. Until then, I'll be moderately friendly with Youngmin, so she'll trust me." Sora schemed as they walked. As they were walking down the hallway, they bumped into Yindu. Sora greeted her enthusiastically. "Oh, Yindu, are you just coming back from the bathroom?" "Yeah, but I'm feeling unwell. I'm on my period today," Yindu replied, and then asked, "Where are you two going?" "We were just," Sora started, then abruptly changed her words. "Youngmin wants to go to the cafeteria. I'm going to grab a sanitary pad from the classroom and then head to the bathroom. Wait for me and we can go together," Yindu suggested. Hearing this, Sora looked at Youngmin's expression, thinking she wanted to tease her a bit. "But what should we do? It seems like Youngmin is really hungry. She said she can't wait for you to finish in the bathroom. She hasn't even eaten anything this morning." Youngmin, standing next to her, was startled. "When did I say that?" she thought, then rationalized. "Is Sora doing this because she wants to go alone with me?" Yindu, hearing Sora, said, "What are you talking about? How long does going to the bathroom take?" "Just wait. I'll be right back, so wait for me. I also want to eat something." Sora put on a concerned expression, turning to Youngmin and saying, "I'm fine, but Youngmin, can you wait?" Finishing her sentence, Sora gently tugged on Youngmin's hand as a signal. Seeing Sora's actions, Youngmin understood the rejection. "I'm really hungry, so..." Before Youngmin could finish, Sora quickly pushed her away, leaving Yindu standing there. "Oh well," Sora said that if Youngmin said so. "Sorry, Yindu. You want a chocolate, right? We'll be quick, so wait in the classroom." "Okay." After walking a few steps, Yindu called out, "Hey, Choi Young-min, are you mute? Can't you speak unless Choi Sora is around?" Hearing Yindu call her, Young-min turned around, a confused "huh" escaping her lips. Yindu turned to face Young-min, frowning and continuing, "Isn't that right? You can't even speak to me directly. Having Choi Sora speak for you like that is annoying. How are you going to survive in the real world if you're like this?" Suddenly scolded, Young-min felt extremely embarrassed, unsure of how to respond. Then, Sora, standing beside her, whispered, "Young-min, just bear with it. She always talks like this." Then, she gave Young-min a knowing smile. Young-min twirled her index finger near her temple. She secretly felt pleased with how things were turning out. A small, smug smile played on her lips. "Just keep talking down to me like that, Yinju," she thought. "The more you do, the closer Sora and I will become." A while later, after school let out, Young-min saw the two of them chatting and laughing together as usual, leaving Young-min trailing behind alone. It made her feel ostracized. At the intersection, Sora turned back to say goodbye and reminded Young-min to be careful going home. Watching them walk away together, Young-min recalled the earlier incident when Sora had walked with her to the schoolyard and badmouthed Yinju thoroughly. This confirmed for Young-min that Sora truly disliked Yinju. Young-min had joined in, criticizing Yinju without a twinge of guilt. Talking behind someone's back didn't feel bad at all. In fact, it felt rather good. Sora also gossiped about many other classmates. Seeing how much Sora knew about everyone's secrets, Young-min felt a surge of admiration. Hearing all this gossip made Young-min believe she was Sora's closest friend. She remembered that afternoon when Sora had suddenly asked about her family. Young-min hesitated, reluctant to share. Seeing this, Sora said she didn't have to talk about it if she didn't want to, then put on a sullen expression and said, a little hurt, "I told you everything about me. I didn't hide anything." Hearing this, Young-min worried that she had done something wrong and that she had upset Sora earlier that afternoon. Feeling uneasy watching them walk together, Young-min called out, "Are you two going straight home?" "Yeah, why?" "Your houses aren't in that direction." It suddenly dawned on Young-min that there was no proof Sora had only talked to her about those things. The close relationship she thought she had with Sora might actually be between Sora and Yinju. Yinju, hearing Jungmin's words, said with disdain, "You just gave me goosebumps, you know? Can't we go home a different way?" Young-min, flustered, replied, "Oh no, I was just curious." "Really? Why are you so curious? Are we your boyfriends or something?" Yinju, annoyed, stepped closer to Young-min. Then, Young-min blurted out something that made Yinju scoff. "But why can't I be curious? We're friends." Looking at Young-min, Yinju felt utter disgust. "That's why nobody likes you," she said, then quickly left with Sora. Hearing Yinju's words, every word the man from her dream had spoken came back to her, vivid and clear. After arriving home, Young-min opened the door to her small, cramped apartment. Everything fit into a single room with dirty walls. She walked inside, tossed her bag on the floor, and sat down with her back against the wall, her head bowed between her knees, her face buried in her hands, exhausted. The next morning, as Yinju and Sora were chatting in class, Young-min suddenly approached Yinju and asked, "Do you want to go to the cafeteria with me? I just got my allowance, so I can buy you some chocolate." Seeing that, Yinju smirked and said sarcastically, "So you ignore me today to go off with Sora?" Young-min immediately explained, "Aw, no, I really didn't mean it like that." Then, lowering her voice, she added, "I'm sorry about that." Okay, it's fine. Let's just go with Sora then." Yinju's words made Young-min feel relieved. After walking for a bit, Yinju suddenly remembered she had left her phone behind, but she felt too lazy to go back for it. Seeing this, Young-min quickly offered to retrieve it for her and hurried off. Sora, observing Jungmin's reactions throughout the day, smiled inwardly. Things were getting more and more interesting. On her way back to the classroom, Young-min told herself she had been too complacent. "Now I realize that all this time, I've forgotten my place. I thought I had escaped those awful people." While walking, Young-min bumped into Ha Jahyun's group in the hallway. This time, they also ignored her as they walked towards the classroom door. Young-min pushed the door open. The moment she stood in the doorway, everyone in the noisy classroom fell silent, turning to stare at her. This lasted for a few seconds before they resumed their chatter. But in that brief moment, Youngmin felt a lump form in her throat. The momentary silence and those cold stares made it clear that no one was on her side. Then, suddenly remembering how Yoonju and Sora had also treated her that way at times, Youngmin felt a pang of resentment. She wondered, I really considered you my friends, so how could you do that to me? Why? Why would you treat me like this? At the end of the school day, Jahyun, as usual, called the class to attention. Class dismissed. Hearing this, Youngmin felt a surge of disgust. I don't want to hear that voice at all. After the class was dismissed, Youngmin feigned surprise as she looked at her phone. As she was about to leave, she saw Yoonju and Sora walking ahead. Youngmin quickly approached them, wanted to say something, but stopped. She realized that they had never actually promised to leave school with her. It was just her trying to stick with them all this time. Oh well. Reaching the school gate, Youngmin was surprised to see Jae-hyuk already waiting for her. Seeing Jae-hyuk, Youngmin felt a sense of relief and comfort wash over her. I always say I have plans, so you must be surprised I contacted you so suddenly, Jae-hyuk said. Youngmin approached him, feeling happy, and replied, it's okay. Then she asked, are you busy? Jae-hyuk scratched his neck. Well, it's the friend I couldn't play games with last time because I was talking to you. He explained, I made plans with him again, but I was afraid he wouldn't be able to get online, so I've been at the internet cafe. It was hard to get here today. Hearing Jae-hyuk mention his friends, Jungmin's mood suddenly darkened. She asked anxiously, Jae-hyuk, is it okay for you to be with me like this? What do you mean? Jae-hyuk asked. Youngmin continued sadly. Compared to being with someone bland and quiet like me, you'd have more fun with your friends. I'm not like you. I'm not pretty, and I'm not good at studying. I'm not on the same level as you. As she spoke, Youngmin looked down at the ground, sounding heartbroken. After saying those words, Youngmin criticized herself further. I probably look pathetic right now. What I said sounded like I wanted to be comforted by him. He must be feeling so pressured. If I met someone like me, I'd be annoyed too. Not to mention, Youngmin is sinking deeper and deeper into these negative thoughts. And then suddenly, Jae-hyuk speaks up. Why are you saying that? What about you? He seems a little annoyed as he continues. I don't even understand what being on the same level means. Do friends even have that kind of thing? Hearing Jae-hyuk's reproach, Jungmin's memories of when she was little with Jahyun came flooding back. Back then, she had also thought the same way. Jae-hyuk continues, I'm grateful that you think highly of me, but I've never thought of anyone as being less capable than me. From the beginning, I wasn't as great as you think. And looks don't really matter, do they? After speaking for a while, Jae-hyuk turns to look at Youngmin and notices her secretly wiping away tears. Seeing this, Jae-hyuk feels a little awkward. He sighs and comforts her. I'm saying this because I'm afraid you'll misunderstand me. If you feel uncomfortable with what I'm about to say, tell me. Then Jae-hyuk suddenly puts his hand on Jungmin's shoulder and says, you're beautiful. If you think I'm a good person, I hope you won't be so insecure anymore. Because you're also one of the people beside me. I mean, you're a good person too. Then Jae-hyuk leans down and softly asks, what I said isn't putting any pressure on you, is it? Youngmin silently nods, but inside, she's very confused. Jae-hyuk, everything you said is wrong. You say you're not good at anything, but you're the best person I've ever met. And I'm not as kind as you think. Youngmin then despises herself. She feels that she also likes to badmouth others. Once she becomes arrogant and complacent, there's no stopping her. Moreover, she also likes to have dreams that harm others. She understands that Jae-hyuk is saying these things because he doesn't know her true self. After these thoughts, Youngmin just looks up and says, I guess my head wasn't working right earlier. Thanks for cheering me up. It's okay. Everyone has moments like that. Jae-hyuk says, then gives a bright smile. Jae-hyuk now is like the only sunshine illuminating Jungmin's soul. She feels very happy looking at his face. Youngmin thinks, if you knew what I'm looking at you and imagining right now, would you be disgusted? When she gets home, she has a lucid dream again. Youngmin dreams of a scene where she's lying in Jae-hyuk's warm embrace, resting her head on his chest and whispering words of love. Then they look into each other's eyes and share a loving kiss. Youngmin knows that in reality, he would definitely never say such comforting words to her, and this is the only way Youngmin can hear them. While Youngmin is immersed in that romantic dream, someone is sitting in the distance, observing her. Then he mutters, what happened recently that she's suddenly acting out these lovey-dovey scenes? She doesn't even know I'm here. Looking at the scene before him, he almost loses all interest. If it's like this, Then what's the difference from those other people? So boring. Then he thinks back to the scene of Young-min repeatedly stabbing her classmate with scissors, remembering the captivating feeling of that moment. He feels incredibly disappointed. Back to Young-min, she continues whispering sweet nothings to Jae-hyuk, and he responds normally. But it took Young-min a moment to realize that she hadn't made him say those words. She looked up suspiciously, and it wasn't Jae-hyuk's face anymore. Instead, it was the white-haired man. Seeing him, Jungmin's expression turned scornful. She shoved him away, saying irritably, "Please stop bothering my dreams. I'm begging you." The man chuckled at her reaction. "What were you doing? You didn't even realize I was here, and you were about to kiss me." He then covered his mouth with his hand, stifling a laugh as he asked, "Did you ever stab a classmate with scissors until they bled all over? Do you have a boyfriend now? Is his name Jae-hyuk? What school and grade is he in?" Young-min turned away, finding him annoying and wanting him to leave, that it's none of your business. "I'm leaving. Don't follow me." The man tried to persuade her. "Come on, let's talk a bit. I won't offer to help you deal with those you hate anymore. I practically live here, so I'm happy to listen to the boring stories that no one else is interested in." He then tried to coax her, "Just think of it as playing with a pitiful child and stay a little longer before you go. Anyway, you don't have the chance to tell this story to anyone else, right?" Hearing his words, Young-min felt he had a point. She felt that. He was the only one who wasn't pretending to be nice, innocent, and fake, and who also had nothing to do with her real life. Thinking it over, Young-min decided to tell him. After listening to Jungmin's story, the man said, "So, you're troubled by your relationships with those friends?" Young-min immediately voiced the question that had been on her mind from the beginning, that if they didn't sincerely want to be friends with me, then what was their purpose in approaching me? I really don't understand. Hearing this, the man propped his chin on his hand and said casually, "So why don't you ask them?" Young-min looked at him and retorted, "You told me to stay, so I told you. Now that you've heard it, you're not going to give me any advice." "I only said I'd listen to your worries," he said with a laugh. "Besides, I don't think you'd like it if I told you what to do." Young-min grew even more annoyed. She didn't need his advice. She just wanted him to curse those people out with her. Young-min sighed and said goodbye to the man. Seeing her leave so soon, he said regretfully, "What? Leaving so quickly?" Young-min slowly stood up and said, "I still have to go to school," then turned and left. After she had taken a few steps, he turned serious and voiced his thoughts. He told Young-min, "Those friends you just mentioned, it doesn't seem like they're simply befriending you to boss you around. There's more to it." He then clearly explained his opinion. Point one of them likes to imitate Hazuhian, your enemy. The other one enjoys prying into other people's private lives. In my experience, these types are very concerned about their image. So why would they get involved with you, someone who isn't popular in class? Young-min still didn't understand what he was getting at after listening for a while. She asked, "So what?" The man replied, "Maybe they want something else from you." After talking to the man in her dream, his last words before she left kept echoing in her mind. Young-min kept thinking but couldn't figure out what she had that those two people wanted. She sat alone in class. Young-min rested her chin in her hand and looked over at Yoonju and Sora, thinking to herself that ever since that day, the two of them had been increasingly ignoring her and spending more time together. But because the lucid dream had left her quite tired, she didn't pay much attention. She slumped down on her desk, wanting to rest for a bit and forget everything. Just as she was about to close her eyes, she heard someone calling her from beside her. Young-min looked up and saw two familiar faces. It was Sora and Yoonju standing in front of her. Sora then asked, "What are you doing after school?" "Want to come with us to the newly opened cafe?" Their sudden invitation, after ignoring her for the past few days, left Young-min bewildered. She suddenly remembered the things they had done recently that had bothered her, and she felt annoyed. Looking down to avoid their gaze, she said, "I don't know. I'm a bit tired today." But Sora wouldn't let it go. She pleaded with Young-min for a bit, and finally, Young-min agreed. Looking at the two faces in front of her, Young-min felt a surge of contempt. Despite this, she forced a smile and went along with them. "Why act so friendly with me like before?" she thought. Then, Young-min suddenly remembered what the man in her dream had said and felt a flicker of suspicion. After school, the three of them went to the cafe they had agreed on. Sora enthusiastically recommended some of the best items to Young-min. But because she didn't have much money left, Young-min only ordered an Americano. Seeing this, Sora said, "It's on me today. I owe you money anyway." Young-min was a little taken aback. She then happily chose her drink. The atmosphere was quite relaxed and cheerful, which made Young-min feel strangely uncomfortable. She didn't understand how their attitudes could change so quickly, and that made her even more suspicious of them. A moment later, Sora suddenly spoke, her tone serious. "Young-min, Actually, we asked you here because we have something to tell you. Hearing this, Youngmin felt a knot of anxiety in her stomach. Sora continued, we think that we've made you sad a lot lately. Us going off on our own wasn't because we wanted to isolate or exclude you. It's a bit of a long story, but lately, Hajahayan has been telling us to stop hanging out with you, so we've been a little stressed. Youngmin listened silently, utterly shocked. What? You don't believe her, do you? Sora continued, you know, Hajahayan hasn't liked you from the start. Seeing us being close to you probably didn't make her happy. So, every time after school, the two of us have been talking about this. Youngmin, hearing this, asked, then why didn't you tell me? Why did you? Sora didn't wait for Youngmin to finish her question and immediately replied, you've been hurt by Hajahayan before. We didn't want to bring up those painful memories for you again. That's why, when you asked us about walking home together, Yunju panicked and blurted out those things. She didn't mean any harm. Then, Sora added another sentence to make Youngmin feel sympathetic. She said, you don't know how regretful Yunju was after saying goodbye to you. At this point, Yunju put on a remorseful expression and sighed. The two of us have been thinking a lot about it, but seeing you becoming more and more depressed and reserved with us, we knew this wasn't the right way to handle things. So we invited you here to tell you everything. Sora's words sounded sincere. Youngmin suddenly felt a little moved. She wasn't sure if what they said was true. The moments of isolation came flooding back. Youngmin felt that even if it were true, it didn't fully explain their recent distance. But in the end, Youngmin realized she didn't have a choice. She had to believe them, because without them, her life would revert back to how it was when she first started school. After thinking it over, Youngmin decided this was her chance to win back Sora and Yunju's affection. Even though she didn't know what they wanted from her, all she could do now was try her best to please them. After considering, Youngmin spoke up, I didn't know you guys were thinking about me so much. I misunderstood you too. Then, she gave a stiff smile, filled with anxiety, unable to fully reassure them. I'm okay, she said. Thank you for telling me the truth. As soon as Youngmin finished speaking, Sora slumped onto the table, seemingly relieved. Thank goodness. If you hadn't understood, we wouldn't have known what to do. Then, she spoke up in Jungmin's defense, but Hajahayan really makes me mad. What did Youngmin do wrong to deserve being treated like this? Hearing this, Youngmin flinched slightly, unsure if she should tell them the truth. Suddenly, Sora sat up and looked directly at Youngmin. People are saying that you bullied and hit Hajahayan in elementary school. Is that true? Youngmin hesitated before answering that, and oh, it's not. Those are just baseless rumors. Yunju then spoke up. I only heard that you ostracized Jahayan. Hearing this, Youngmin immediately felt wrong that I didn't ostracize or bully her. We just didn't get along, so we stopped being friends. Her eyes hardened. There's a reason for everything, but no one knows anything, and they spread these ridiculous rumors. It's really unfair. Is that so? Then tell us the truth. We need to know too, right? Because of those rumors, we've doubted you a few times. We don't want to be misled anymore. Sora tried to persuade her. Hearing Sora's words, Youngmin really wanted to pour everything out to clear her name. But the truth was, what was stopping her was that she still couldn't fully trust them. However, if she didn't speak up, she was afraid she would be isolated again like before. So, finally, Youngmin replied, okay, I'll tell you. After saying those words, Youngmin reassured herself. Jahayan only said things that benefited her and made me look bad. So why can't I? It'll be okay. I'm just telling the truth. Unlike her, maliciously exaggerating everything. Then she began to tell them her story. After going home, she even called them and talked until late at night. The next morning, Youngmin woke up with an aching body from lack of sleep. She sat up for a while, her face dejected. She grumbled, whoever said that telling everything would make you feel better lied. I just feel worse. Then she regretted it. Why did I tell them? Will they be happy that I told them everything? Youngmin wondered. At school, Sora and Yunju were more actively inviting Youngmin to hang out. Youngmin felt happier too. She felt that they were making an effort, reconciled. It wasn't like before, and she gradually forgot about the past. When hanging out with them, Youngmin tried her best to find all sorts of interesting things about Hajahayan to talk about, because she saw that they seemed interested in hearing these stories. But such things also had their limits. After a few times, she ran out of stories. So, when the things she could say to badmouth Hajahayan dwindled, she tried to change the subject, but it seemed like this wasn't easy at all. During break time, Youngmin went to the restroom, but accidentally ran into Hajahayan, who was also there. Youngmin hesitated. What should I do? If I just leave, she'll think I'm afraid of her. But I don't want to face her at all. While she was thinking, Ha Jahyun spoke up, startling Young-min slightly. "What are you doing standing at the restroom door?" Then, she said sarcastically, "Young-min, you probably think you're clever, but don't think I don't know what you're doing. Lately, it seems like you've hit a lucky streak. Making friends after such a long time must be fun, huh?" Hearing these words, Young-min immediately felt irritated. Ha Jahyun then approached, giving a contemptuous smile. "Do you think this can last long?" She then leaned close to Jungmin's ear and threatened with a sneer, "Poor Young-min, enjoy it while you can." Then she left. Young-min stood inside, trembling with anger, a bitter expression on her face. It seemed that Ha Jahyun's words during their encounter in the restroom had a real impact on Jungmin's psyche. After school, feeling apprehensive, Young-min rushed to Yoonju and Sora, asking, "Aren't we hanging out today? I'm free." But they simply refused, saying they planned to go home and study. "Oh, is that so? I had something I wanted to tell you two today." Young-min tried to hold them back. However, their attitude this time was very different from their previous eagerness. The two of them glanced at each other and coldly said, "Oh really? Don't bother. We're bored of listening." And they just left. Seeing Yoonju and Sora's reaction, the unease in Jungmin's heart grew even stronger. Now they were starting to ignore her again. On their way, Yoonju and Sora chuckled, mentioning Jungmin's earlier situation. Yoonju said as she walked, "Jahyun is such a saint. That girl plays dirty like that and still dares to want to hang out with us." Sora, beside her, smirked. Jahyun even said she kind of regretted treating her badly at first. "If I were Jahyun, I wouldn't dream of ending things there." The two of them continued walking, uttering contemptuous words about Young-min, unaware that she was standing behind the wall, hearing every single word. Upon arriving home, Young-min immediately entered a lucid dream without saying anything. She looked at the man and frankly stated with absolute certainty, "Now, no matter who you are, I don't care. I'm so tired of playing dumb when I already know everything. You said it yourself, right? Anytime I need help, just tell you." Then Young-min declared, "I want revenge on those bastards. Please help me this time. Show them what justice is." The next morning, when she arrived at class, Yoonju and Sora continued their fake tone, calling her Choi Young-min. "Do you want to go to the cafeteria with us? Hurry up if you're coming." As she spoke, Yoonju turned to look at Ha Jahyun's face at the back of the class. Then, after seeing Jahyun smile at her, she felt joyful. Watching them act, Young-min didn't rush to break character, but played along. She agreed to go down to the cafeteria. Last night, when Young-min sought help from the man, although she hadn't heard the full story, he quickly agreed. He even revealed an enthusiastic smile. Young-min said, "Now, before I hear your explanation of how you'll help me with this, there's something I want to ask you. I want to question you about something. Before, there was a time when Ha Jahyun was inexplicably injured while sleeping and couldn't come to school. Was that your doing?" Hearing this, the man laughed. "Oh, that was a surprise I had for you." Young-min asked, "How were you able to do that?" Before she could finish her sentence, he raised his hand in front of her, intending to stop her from continuing, and interrupted. "First, you should probably know about my abilities before asking any questions." Then he began to explain. "Basically, it's lucid dreaming. I started there just like you. After that, I could freely enter other people's dreams. I can even see and experience the outside world as an independent soul. I thought a normal person could only do that much, but I'm more extraordinary. The things I do in this world can even directly affect reality. It's nothing major in the outside world, but it was enough to teach your friend a lesson." Young-min, after listening, spoke up. "You said this before. If I wanted, you would consider killing someone. Is that also within your abilities?" The man chuckled and calmly replied, "Of course, but it would be a little strenuous. Even if it's just in a dream, I still have to directly kill someone, Hearing this, Young-min thought, at least having this guy is enough to keep those girls from coming to school anymore. But is the outcome really that simple? Just some injuries on their bodies, and they'll heal. That's clearly not enough. They didn't have to endure and suffer like I did. How can that little bit make them think it's punishment for what they've done?" The more Young-min thought, the hotter her chest felt. Remembering the faces and disgusting actions of those hypocrites made her want to torture them to the extreme. After explaining what he could do to Young-min, The man quickly wanted to leave. I'll come find you after I prepared everything. I won't bother you for a while. Feel free to go wild. But what he offered couldn't satisfy Jungmin's resentment. She called it back. Jungmin didn't want him to be the only one who could witness the pained faces of those who bullied her. Then she gave a delighted smile, her eyes staring intently, as if imagining all the worst scenarios for them. You just need to support me. I will personally take revenge on each of them, one by one. After deciding on revenge, Jungmin's face became much more confident. She sat in class, her chin resting on her hand, looking straight ahead, no longer constantly looking down at the ground as before. During PE class, Jungmin knew that because the gym uniform didn't have pockets, any belongings had to be left in the classroom. This was her opportunity. As usual, the class would divide into pairs to practice volleyball. This used to be the most dreadful time for Jungmin, but today was different. She stared at Yunju and Sora for a long time, then turned and walked straight into the classroom. Back to yesterday's conversation. Jungmin had chosen Sora as her first target because this girl was the easiest to manipulate. She asked that man to use his ability and help her find the password to Sora's phone and messaging app. According to Jungmin, Sora had been a backstabber and gossiped about others behind their backs for a long time. She was certain there were others who joined in on it. Holding the phone in her hand, it was now time for Jungmin to confirm whether the password the man gave her was correct. To be honest, she didn't completely believe what the man had said, because the story about out-of-body experiences sounded like a scam. But now, she could confirm whether he was telling the truth just by doing this. Thinking this, Jungmin quickly entered the provided password, and it actually unlocked. Seeing the screen light up, Jungmin was extremely excited. She smirked, surprised that everything he said was true. Excellent. Jungmin reacted momentarily, then quickly returned to the main task. Unlocking the phone wasn't enough. She also needed the messaging app's password. Jungmin typed while praying. Having come this far, please let me find something. Not disappointing Jungmin's expectations, Sora's chat history contained dozens of gossip groups. Jungmin only needed to click on a random one to find a ton of messages to use as blackmail. Reading those lines, she scoffed disdainfully. This damn Sora, as expected, is all about bad-mouthing me to her friends. I predicted this, but it's mostly kids from my class. Jungmin had only read 2 chat logs and already discovered Sora talking behind everyone's back in that group. Just as I thought, she says different things to each person. But isn't this too easy? Jungmin smirked as she scrolled. If the kids in class find out about this, she might get ostracized even worse than I was at first. Thinking this, Jungmin took out her phone and took screenshots of everything as evidence. To be safe, she also made a backup copy. After PE class, everyone returned to the classroom. Jungmin approached Sora and asked her to talk privately. Choi Sora simply thought that something interesting was about to happen, so she agreed. Then Jungmin turned and said, "Follow me. I know a place where there's no one around. A deserted place is more suitable for you." Seeing Jungmin's attitude, Sora continued texting in her group chats, walking and texting while chuckling. Jungmin looked back and thought, this girl is so obvious. Are her friends all idiots or something? After arriving at the spot, Choi Sora was still very calm and said to Jungmin, "Class is about to start, so make it quick. Just tell me." Jungmin asked, "You teamed up with Hajin to get close to me and hurt me, right?" Suddenly exposed, Choi Sora flinched. Her face showed a look of panic as she anxiously asked, "Why would you say that? What are you talking about, Jungmin? You must have misunderstood something." Jungmin looked at Sora's reaction and smirked. She replied, "Yesterday, I secretly followed the 2 of you, so I heard everything. You're friends with me because Hajihin told you to do so." Hearing this, Sora's face turned pale. Confused, she wondered what's going on. Why is she suddenly acting like a different person? Jungmin continued, "Someone like you must have a reason to listen to her, right? You must want something from me to approach me like this, don't you?" Choi Sora was already terrified. She tried to sound accusatory, but her voice trembled. Jungmin looked directly at Sora and calmly said, "You sound just like CEO Yunju, but I wonder who the real trash is." Jungmin smirked and held up her phone in front of Choi Sora, asking, "This looks pretty familiar from afar, doesn't it?" The bright screen displayed Sora's own text messages. Choi Sora froze, fear evident in her eyes. "Huh? How did that get on your phone?" Jungmin replied, "You don't need to know that. Your entire chat history is in my hands." She then added a warning, "And you'd better not even think about touching my phone. I backed everything up. If you try anything, I'll send these messages to everyone in our class. I've got nothing left to lose anyway." Sora was instantly struck with panic, speechless. I thought I finally made some friends, so I tried my best to please you all. But now, I don't need to do that anymore. I've given up on everything. Jungmin's words were the most terrifying threat to Sora. Her legs went weak, and she collapsed to the ground, kneeling before Jungmin and pleading desperately. Choi Sora was a pathetic sight. Stammering, she said, "I am sorry, Jungmin. I'll do anything you want. Please, just don't share those messages, okay? Please." Looking at the groveling girl before her, Jungmin couldn't help but laugh. Sora's expression was truly amusing to her. "Well, first, tell me everything about Ha Ji-hyun's plan," Jungmin demanded. Hearing this, Sora didn't hold back and told Jungmin everything. She called Yunju and me aside and asked if we were happy being friends with you. She said that even though you hurt her in the past, she felt bad seeing you ostracized by everyone. Of course, Yunju would listen to her. Jungmin listened, then questioned. "So you looked down on me and befriended me just so you and your friend could have some fun at my expense?" Called out on her true intentions, Choi Sora was speechless, unable to offer any justification. Fearfully, she lowered her head and mumbled apologies. Jungmin, unmoved by her pleas, cut her off. "Save your apologies." She looked at the girl before her with disdain. "Apologies depend on who's saying them. Hearing them from you makes me sick. Even so, I'll give you a chance to make amends." Jungmin continued, then laid out her first demand. "First, you'll stick with me no matter what." Choi Sora looked up, bewildered, that's all. Up until now, Sora had often invited Jungmin to hang out, so this request seemed rather ordinary. But Jungmin's objective wasn't simply to have someone by her side to stave off loneliness. She wanted to keep this girl close, to use her as a shield when necessary. Upon hearing Jungmin's explanation, Sora's expression involuntarily revealed her contempt. Seeing Sora's face, Jungmin lightly shook her phone. "What's wrong?" "Don't want to," she asked, feigning innocence. Sora, of course, didn't dare refuse. Forcing a twisted smile, she said, "No, I agree." Manipulating Choi Sora had been so easy, Jungmin figured. Ha Ji-hyun wasn't acting out of guilt. She genuinely didn't want Jungmin to be happy. After talking for a while, Jungmin and Sora returned to the classroom. As they walked, Sora anxiously asked, "You don't want me to do anything else?" The two reached the classroom door. Yunju, seeing them, scowled and called out, "Sora, where have you been? I've been looking for you." Then, turning to Jungmin, she sarcastically added, "Choi Jungmin, are you dragging Choi Sora off again to isolate me?" Jungmin, no longer holding back, glared at Yunju after hearing her speak so disrespectfully. "No, it's not like that. There was something I needed to talk to Sora about, so we went outside for a bit." Then, with a cryptic smile, she added, "You'd be pretty shocked if you heard what we were talking about." Hearing this, Sora panicked and interrupted loudly, yelling at Yunju, "We're friends. Of course we can talk privately. Why do you need us to report back every single word?" "Stop picking on Jungmin." Yunju was taken aback, letting out a disbelieving "huh" before asking, "Choi Sora, why are you?" But before Yunju could finish, Sora quickly changed the subject, saying she needed to use the restroom, and hurriedly grabbed Jungmin's arm, pulling her away. Seeing Sora act this way, Jungmin was curious to see Seo Yunju's reaction. It was quite amusing to see her frustrated expression. After they reached the restroom, Jungmin praised Sora. "You acted well back there. Keep it up." Sora quickly expressed her obedience. Jungmin smirked, feeling quite satisfied. How does it feel, being in a situation where you have no choice but to flatter a classmate? You two should try experiencing that feeling too. While I'm figuring out how to deal with Ha Ji-hyun, watching you two tear each other apart will be quite entertaining. Ever since she'd asked Sora to talk outside, Sora had indeed stayed glued to Jungmin's side, even on the way home, leaving Seo Yunju alone. The next morning, when Jungmin arrived at class and opened the door, she found Seo Yunju already there. She wondered what's going on. "Seo Yunju is here, even earlier than me. I come early because I hate being at home and want some alone time." Lost in thought, Jungmin walked in and greeted Yunju. Upon seeing her, Yunju immediately put on an annoyed expression and approached her, demanding, "Jungmin, did you threaten Sora? What did you say to her that she's suddenly so subservient to you?" Jungmin simply chuckled and feigned ignorance. "What are you talking about?" This only angered Yunju further. "Don't play dumb. From the very beginning, someone like you." She trailed off, stammering. Seeing Yunju hesitate, Jungmin pressed on. "Someone like me, what? You're usually so good at bad-mouthing people, not afraid of anyone. Why can't you speak now?" Yunju was speechless, unable to respond. Jungmin continued, "Is it because Choi Sora, who you thought was always on your side, suddenly turned her back on you? Are you surprised? You must be scared of being isolated, huh? Yunju, hit where it hurt, could only remain silent, unable to deny the truth. Seeing Yunju's silence, Youngmin suddenly remembered the taunts she had endured from Seo Yunju and used them against her. Why aren't you saying anything? Cat got your tongue? Can't speak without Choi Sora. If you keep living like this, you'll be isolated later. You know what? After that, Seo Eunju replayed every single word from the girl she had once mocked. She was fuming. A moment later, when Choi Sora arrived in class, Seo Eunju rushed over and called her outside. Choi Sora was a bit bewildered at first, but when she suddenly remembered Youngmin, she wanted to refuse. Sora spoke hesitantly, cautiously observing Youngmin's attitude. Seeing her so obedient, Youngmin just smiled and allowed her go. I'll wait. As soon as they got outside, Eunju anxiously asked, "What's wrong with you? Why were you suddenly so awkward in front of Choi Youngmin? Did her gossiping get exposed? But why do you even care about that? What's so important about it? It's Choi Youngmin. What can she possibly do to you?" Sora listened to Eunju for a while, avoiding eye contact, then helplessly said, "It's not like that." Eunju became even more annoyed by Sora's attitude. "Then what is it?" Suddenly, her voice dropped, emphasizing, "Do you know what that girl said to me this morning?" She looked at me and asked, "Can't you open your mouth without her? Are you mute?" She told me if I keep living like this, I'll be isolated. Is she brain dead? Crazy. How could she personally attack someone like that? Seo Eunju was venting her anger at Sora, but instead of joining in to curse Youngmin, Sora said something that stunned Eunju. "Those are the words you said to Choi Youngmin before, aren't they?" Eunju, suddenly rebuked by her best friend, stammered, "It's not like I don't remember saying that." But Sora ignored her, her gaze still averted. She spoke in Youngmin's defense, not allowing Eunju to justify herself. "You did say it. I was there too. I thought you'd taken back what you said to her. You talk like that, not just once or twice." Choi Youngmin must have been upset too. Eunju was surprised at first, asking Sora why she was suddenly taking that girl's side. But then her expression and attitude changed completely. She turned and started criticizing Sora, calling her two-faced and opportunistic. Then came a stream of scornful and reproachful words in her usual tone. Sora silently endured it for a while, but finally couldn't take it anymore. She cursed under her breath and looked Eunju straight in the eye, snapping, "Do you think I'm easy to bully?" Eunju was taken aback by her attitude. Sora lowered her voice and asked again, "Choi Sora, what did you just say?" Sora crossed her arms, contempt evident on her face. She didn't even bother looking at Eunju standing in front of her. She declared, "I can't be friends with you anymore. It's over. I'll say what I want to say and end it here." Then Sora began, "You know I have a lot of other friends besides you, right? But have you ever wondered why I never introduced them to you? Because, from the beginning, everyone who's been friends with me has hated you. You'd probably never guess the reason, even if you thought about it your whole life." Sora smirked and continued, "Do you know how pathetic your personality is? Last year, you were the same. Everyone else was having fun talking, but every day you'd put on a serious face and lecture them. You almost got isolated. I was the one who spoke up for you, but you weren't even grateful. You just looked down on me. I'm really curious about one thing. You always talk down to people like that, but you never think about how the people around you see you. Why you keep getting yelled at by Sora?" Seo Eunju retorted resentfully, "You're always gossiping and making fun of other people's problems, but I was just trying to play along to make you happy. How dare you say these things to me now?" Hearing this, Sora seemed startled and denied it, saying, "When did I do that?" Unable to stand it, Seo Eunju shouted, "You did. In elementary school. You told everyone in our class that my parents were getting divorced. From that moment on, I've always hated you. So whenever you don't consider the people around you, even in small things, I have no choice but to be harsh with you. Me becoming like this isn't entirely your fault, is it?" At this point, Seo Eunju's eyes welled up with tears, but Sora didn't seem to care much. After speaking, she turned and went back to the classroom. She even added, "Let's not hang out anymore. Let's just pretend we're strangers." Sora had only taken a few steps away when Seo Eunju collapsed on the ground, sobbing. Later, in the classroom, Kim Hae-jin acted as usual, approaching Ha Ju-hyun to go to the cafeteria. But today, Ha Ju-hyun remained silent, not bothering to reply. Seeing this, Hae-jin moved closer, thinking Ju-hyun hadn't heard her. But then she suddenly noticed his cold expression. Realizing that Ha Ju-hyun seemed upset, Kim Hae-jin quickly changed the subject, pretending to ask, "Where's Yuzu?" Then she glanced towards a group of people gathered on the other side of the classroom. She wondered, those kids, why are so many people surrounding Choi Young-min? Is that why Ju Hyun is in a bad mood? And suddenly felt confused about her relationship with Ha Ju Hyun. Even though they were friends, sometimes she didn't know what he was thinking. Lost in thought, she didn't even react when Yuzu called her. Ha Ju Hyun, left sitting there, observed the strange events unfolding in the classroom for a while before approaching Eunju, who was sitting alone. Eunju, can I talk to you for a moment? When they reached a quieter spot, Ha Ju Hyun didn't directly ask why Young-min suddenly had so many friends. Instead, he asked why Eunju was now alone, when she had clearly asked both of them to hang out with Choi Young-min. Already feeling frustrated, Eunju immediately poured out her feelings, hoping for sympathy and comfort from her friend. Ju Hyun, Choi Young-min is really too much. I think I now know how tired you felt back then, being betrayed by the people we thought were our friends. I guess they'll never understand people like us. While Eunju was busy sharing her sadness, Ha Ju Hyun felt it was a waste of time and annoying. The reason he had asked Eunju to come out was to understand what was going on, not to listen to these complaints. Ha Ju Hyun interrupted Eunju mid-sentence, asking, "Didn't you hear my question?" Then he repeated his initial topic that I wasn't asking about that. I asked what happened between you and Choi Young-min. Eunju seemed startled and quickly apologized. Then she honestly summarized everything for Ju Hyun that it seems like Choi Young-min tried to drive a wedge between me and Sora. I have no idea what she said to Sora, but suddenly she became very sensitive to Young-min's attitude and ended up cutting ties with me. Why would Sora do that? Ju Hyun asked. I don't know for sure either. Sometimes Sora and I badmouthed Young-min. I think Young-min overheard us. If it wasn't for that, there's no reason why Sora would be so afraid of Young-min. Jahyun pondered silently. After Eunju finished explaining everything, she cautiously glanced at Jahyun and spoke flatteringly. But I didn't like her from the start. She was the one who bullied you. I'm not wrong, am I? But Choi Sora cares more about her image. That damn girl. Seeing that Co Eunju had revealed everything she knew, Ha Jahyun concluded with a question. So, in the end, you were the only one left alone, right? Eunju hesitantly affirmed with a quiet yes, her heart pounding with anxiety. After all, I sided with Jahyun completely. She's so kind that she even pitied Young-min. Could it be that she won't help me this time? While Eunju was still lost in thought, Ha Jahyun stood up. All right, thanks for telling me. I'll head to class now. Then she turned and left. Eunju watched Ha Jahyun leave before she could ask for help. She quickly stood up and shouted, "Hey, that's it. We're done." Hearing this, Ha Jahyun turned around and calmly asked, "What else? Do you need something more?" Eunju was taken aback by Ha Jahyun's attitude. She emphasized her words, "I'm all alone now." Ha Jahyun's expression remained indifferent. Oh what? Eunju was stunned by her words and stammered, "You know what situation I'm in?" Not wanting to hear another word from Eunju, Ha Jahyun cut her off. "I guess it's my fault you're alone." Eunju, now extremely timid, said that's not it, and then suggested having lunch with Ha Jahyun. Ha Jahyun glanced at Eunju's pathetic state, finding it incredibly amusing. Why does this mediocre thing keep clinging to me? She thought, then politely declined, and why friends don't know you. So, I don't think that possible. Hearing this, Eunju reached out to grab her, pleading, Ha Jahyun. Seeing Eunju's hand about to touch her, Ha Jahyun decisively brushed it away. Having been civil with Eunju up until now, Ha Jahyun felt she had lowered herself enough. Who knew she wouldn't understand and kept clinging on, even trying to touch her. Disgusted, Ha Jahyun spoke frankly. I've already said so. You should understand. Or do I have to spell it out? It's embarrassing to be associated with someone like you. You're so clueless. Whether you're isolated in class or not has nothing to do with me. Stop your wishful thinking. Then she left. After a few steps, Ha Jahyun suddenly stopped. Turning back, she looked at the sweater Eunju was wearing. That red really doesn't suit you. On the way, Ha Jahyun felt uneasy thinking about how she had assumed that leaving those who hated Choi Young-min, like Chashi and Chanseok, next to her would eventually lead to Jungmin's isolation. But unexpectedly, it wasn't Young-min who was ostracized. The more Ha Jahyun thought about it, the more frustrated she became, nervously biting her nails. She wasn't even betrayed, and now I feel like she's taking over the whole group. What's going on? The Choi Young-min I knew didn't have that ability. Or did her past appearance cloud my judgment? Even after entering the classroom, Ha Jae-hyun was still bothered by Choi Jung-min's actions. So much so that Young-min was always on her mind. It wasn't until she heard Kim Hye-jin yell her name loudly that she snapped out of it. Kim Hye-jin then excitedly invited Ha Jae-hyun to karaoke as they had planned. But Ha Jae-hyun suddenly said she wouldn't go. This made Kim Hye-jin panic slightly. The others had only agreed to go because Ha Jae-hyun was going. So they kept calling and pestering her. Ha Jae-hyun, already in a bad mood and now being bothered, immediately snapped back at Kim Hye-jin with harsh words, saying things like, "Can't you make friends without me?" Pathetic. Hearing those words, Kim Hye-jin couldn't help but feel resentful. As Ha Jae-hyun walked out of the school gates, she saw Eun-ju calling her, but she ignored the call and hung up. Looking up, Ha Jae-hyun saw Choi Young-min saying goodbye to her friends. Then, Young-min walked off excitedly, calling out Ji-hyuk and chatting happily with him as they walked away together. Ha Jae-hyun looked at the boy walking beside Choi Young-min and felt a flicker of recognition. It was the same guy who had walked home with Young-min before. Meanwhile, the three-person group in Sora's gossiping group chat, which included the girl with shoulder-length purple hair, Jo Zeonji, and the tomboy, Kyun Sunga, were gathered together discussing Choi Young-min. About letting Choi Young-min join our group. Were you serious? We really enjoyed hanging out with you. But why suddenly replace Eun-ju with Choi Young-min? Is the reason too inconvenient to say over text? You haven't been saying much in the group chat lately either. Sora, being questioned, was in a difficult position. Of course, she couldn't tell them the truth. She just vaguely said, "I have my reasons. And you guys also said I look pathetic clinging to Seol Eun-ju." Well, we did say that. Seol Eun-ju is okay, but it's strange that you suddenly care about Choi Young-min. After going back and forth, they decided to add Choi Young-min to the group. But they still tried to come up with some flimsy excuses to justify themselves, claiming they weren't actually interested in being friends with Young-min, but were forced into it. From that day on, Choi Young-min had a new group of friends, and that made her school life much easier. More than that, the other kids in class stopped bullying her and treating her so carelessly. As she walked down the hallway, she bumped into Ha Jae-hyun. Ha Jae-hyun's attitude wasn't just indifferent and contemptuous anymore. It now held a hint of annoyance. Seeing that, Young-min just smirked and walked past, finding the expression rather amusing. Meanwhile, Kim Hye-jin and Eun-ju were sneaking behind the school to smoke. Noticing that Hye-jin and Jae-hyun had been acting strangely lately, Eun-ju took the opportunity to ask, "Hey, something's going on between you and Jae-hyun, right?" Kim Hye-jin, not really paying attention and focused on scrolling through her phone, casually replied, "What is?" "Well, you two haven't spoken to each other all day." Eun-ju continued, "This atmosphere is creepy, you know? Even if Jae-hyun isn't the type to initiate conversations, the fact that you're silent too definitely means something's up. Did you two fight?" Kim Hye-jin still didn't want to talk about it anymore, giving indifferent replies like, "Yeah, whatever." But Eun-ju wouldn't let it go, persistently pressing for details. Finally, Kim Hye-jin, no longer wanting to hear Eun-ju's nagging, threw her cigarette on the ground and walked away, leaving Yuzu there alone, furious enough to vomit blood. In front of Yuzu, Hye-jin pretended not to care, but when Kim Hye-jin heard Kim mentioned, she naturally felt uncomfortable. On the way back to class, Hye-jin's expression changed to one of annoyance. Cursing inwardly, she thought, suddenly, Ha Zoo-hyun acts like this, what am I supposed to do? Already uncomfortable with Ha Zoo-hyun, when she ran into Yuzu earlier, Yuzu blamed her, saying, "You have to say something so Zoo-hyun will," making Hye-jin even more frustrated. Anyway, they're all on Ha Zoo-hyun's side. What can I say now? As for Young-min, the group was still walking together. The other three were chatting animatedly, while she had no interest on her face. She was just tagging along. They were talking about Jong-ji's boyfriend when Sung-ha suddenly turned to Young-min and asked, "Choi Young-min, I think I saw you with some guy from the other school yesterday, right? Is he your boyfriend?" Hearing that, Young-min was about to deny it, but before she could finish her sentence, Jong-ji cut her off, blurting out, "Oh, come on, there's no such thing." Sora, upon hearing this, immediately panicked, her mind screaming, "Hey you, why did you say that so directly?" Choi Young-min didn't deny Jong-ji's words. Instead, she said, "Well, he's not my boyfriend, not yet." Those two words, "not yet," from Young-min shocked the other three into stunned silence. Looking at their expressions, Young-min suddenly realized she had unintentionally made a big deal out of it. Jong-ji and Sung-ha, informed by Youngmin that it was true, curiously asked about the guy. Sora, meanwhile, felt relieved that Youngmin wasn't angry. Youngmin and the group then continued to discuss the relationship between Jae, Hyuk, and her. Youngmin recalled Jae, Hyuk's smile from that day, feeling a flutter of excitement and hoped. Jae, Hyuk, I'm sorry, but I didn't say anything wrong. Who knows what the future holds? I think anything is possible. That night, after returning home, Youngmin continued to dream. A lucid dream to meet that man. But this time, what she needed wasn't revenge on her classmates, but for him to make Jae, Hyuk, go out with her. The man, hearing this, felt exasperated. Honestly, I'm speechless. I told you before, I'm also human, just a little special. So please ask for something more reasonable. Youngmin, hearing this, felt a little disappointed. Sure enough, this was beyond his abilities. After talking about Jae, Hyuk, the man's previously bored expression disappeared, replaced by a look of curious excitement. But Choi Sora, after threatening her a little, your school life has become much easier, hasn't it? Mentioning them, Youngmin just replied indifferently. She has quite a few friends, though none of them are good. The man continued to ask, what about the girl who always hangs around with her? Seo Unju? So now she's all alone, the man guessed, noticing Jungmin's silence. He knew he had guessed correctly and then smiled. That's good. I'm glad your school life isn't as lonely as it used to be. Youngmin was silent for a moment, seemingly thinking about something, then suddenly spoke. Speaking of which, you said you're just a human like me, right? So what do you usually do after you wake up? What happened in reality that you're always wearing a hospital gown? The man, hearing Jungmin's questions, was momentarily speechless, then quickly pretended to brush it off. Well, you don't need to worry about that. Seeing him refuse to answer, Dongmin furrowed her brow in thought. It was always like this. Every time she tried to ask him anything about himself, he'd deflect and change the subject. She told him practically everything, so it felt unfair that she knew nothing about him. She knew it was wrong to pry into someone's private life, but she had to get to the bottom of this. After thinking it over, Dongmin forced on the most natural expression she could manage and asked, why did you start having lucid dreams? It's not like we've only met once or twice. Getting to know each other a little wouldn't hurt. Does it really have to be like this? Just from these few words, the man could guess Dongmin's intentions and what she was struggling with. He replied, I know you don't completely trust me, but don't worry. I won't do anything to harm you. Dongmin, realizing he'd seen through her, dropped the pretense and said, that's exactly why I can't trust you. Seeing Dongmin's persistence, the man immediately uttered chillingly suggestive words that you're strangely stubborn. Don't you already know the answer, yet you still insist on asking? He then stepped closer to Dongmin, startling her. She instinctively took half a step back. He continued, it seems you've forgotten something. I can kill people without anyone knowing. Because it happens in a dream, there won't be any trace or fingerprints left behind. Meaning, killing someone is as easy as pie for me. As he spoke, he smirked, making Dongmin unconsciously shudder. He leaned down, his face directly in front of hers, and asked, do you understand what I mean now? Whether you already know or not, and even if you keep asking, don't try to find out about me. He then laid out his demand, drawing a clear line. Just stick to that, and I'll help you get your revenge, just as you want. I like to be friends with you for a long time. Dongmin looked up at his face, silently understanding his intentions. The man smiled and patted Dongmin's shoulder, feigning casual cheerfulness that it's time. You should go back now. You have school, student Dongmin. With that, he turned and walked away. Dongmin stood there frozen for a moment, watching his figure recede into the distance. She muttered angrily, crazy bastard. After waking up, Dongmin had to go straight to school. On the way, still irritated by the man, she yelled in frustration, venting her anger. Seriously, unbelievable. So what if he can kill people? What's there to brag about? Why put on that kind of act? It gives me the creeps. I just can't understand him at all. After ranting about him, Dongmin calmed down and thought back to his expression and words. It seemed like he became even more sensitive whenever she asked about things that happened before he started having lucid dreams. Even his clothes were the same. But what did he mean when he said she already knew? Was he someone she knew? Meanwhile, Jeonjo, Sunga, and Sora were gathered together, gossiping about Youngmin that it's so awkward being around him. I don't know how to talk to him anymore. Sunga responded, honestly, I feel the same. Yesterday, I saw you talking to him, and you seem to be having fun. That's because you guys were having such a good conversation, I just went along with it. They went back and forth for a while. The result was that, from then on, the three of them acted normally when Youngmin was around, but when they met up privately, they pretended they didn't want to be friends with him. Then the other two, Jeonjo Ji-yeon-jo and Sunga started gossiping about Youngmin again, saying they couldn't believe she was with such a handsome guy. Only Sora felt awkward and wanted to say something nice about Youngmin, but she was afraid the other two would be suspicious. In the end, she just stammered a few words in response. The two girls, still talking, turned to Sora and asked, "So Sora, what do you think?" Sora, startled at being suddenly addressed, jumped. But because she couldn't badmouth Youngmin for fear of getting caught like last time, she just turned away and said, "I don't know." Ji-yeon-jo and Sunga, seeing Sora's unusual behavior, immediately got annoyed. "Don't give us vague answers like that. You've been really strange lately. What's the reason you're hanging out with someone like Choi Youngmin? Do you really not want to tell us?" Sora looked at them, thought for a moment, and then spoke half-truthfully, "Well, there's no other way. Just keep it between us, but Choi Youngmin has our entire chat history where we badmouthed other people." The other two gasped, shocked. Sora continued, "She has proof, so I don't have a choice." Sunga, now suspicious, asked, "How did she get it?" "It was just us in that chat. Unless one of us took screenshots and leaked them. How would she know?" Ji-yeon-jo agreed. "Exactly." Sunga's words were clearly accusing Sora. Realizing this, Sora snapped, "It wasn't me. Think about it. If I intentionally gave Choi Youngmin those messages, it would be like shooting myself in the foot. Be reasonable." Sunga, seeing the logic in this, stopped questioning Sora, who breathed a sigh of relief. Ji-yeon-jo, standing beside them, clenched her fists and said in frustration, "Then how did she find out? No way. I didn't think she'd do something so crazy. How dare she threaten us with that?" Sora put on a serious expression and, using her persuasive skills, said, "I'm also trying to figure out how this happened. So, until I find out, I have no choice but to do what Choi Youngmin wants. Anyway, it's not like it's an impossible request. I just have to hang out with her at school, right? So, you guys, until we figure out this secret, just cooperate with me and play along with her." Sunga and Ji-yeon-jo listened silently to Sora, exchanging a glance of mixed belief and suspicion. Meanwhile, in the classroom, Kim Hyejin was sitting alone, engrossed in her phone, when Yuzu came up and nudged her shoulder in greeting. "Hey, why didn't you notice me coming?" Kim Hyejin looked up and asked, "When did you get here?" Yuzu brushed off the question and then mentioned Ha Ji-hyun, asking, "Where is she?" Kim Hyejin, annoyed that Yuzu had barely said hello before asking about Ha Ji-hyun, slumped on her desk and said, "Why are you asking me where she is?" Yuzu, seeing Hyejin's reaction, advised, "Are you two still fighting? Stop it already and make up. You just need to be the bigger person." Kim Hyejin retorted, "So you're saying I always have to give in to her?" Just then, Ha Ji-hyun arrived and greeted them. Kim Hyejin was startled to see her, while Yuzu quickly approached her. "Ji-hyun, hey, did the sun rise in the west today? You're not late? You should try being a diligent student sometimes." Two people were talking and laughing happily. Hee-jin watched them, feeling quite annoyed. Then, suddenly, Ha Zoo-hyun approached Hye-jin and started talking to her in a completely normal manner, as if there had never been any quarrel. Hye-jin had also arrived earlier than usual that day. This surprised Hee-jin. She wondered what's going on. Is she not upset with me anymore? Afterward, Ha Zoo-hyun returned to her seat and turned to ask, "Do you have anything to do after school?" Yuzu replied, "Me? No." Ha Zoo-hyun continued, "If you're free, let's hang out today. From next week on, I won't have any time. I'm checking out some academies for extra classes. If I start attending an academy, we won't be able to hang out as often as we do now." Up until this point, only Yuzu and Ha Zoo-hyun had been talking. Kim Hyejin was still upset with Ha Zoo-hyun, so she assumed she wasn't being invited and remained silent. Unexpectedly, Ha Zoo-hyun turned and said, "Hyejin too. Let's go together." This made Hyejin feel strangely awkward, but she agreed. A little later, while Kim Hyejin and IU were talking about borrowing each other's mascara, Ha Zoo-hyun announced, "I'm going to the restroom." Upon hearing this, Yuzu stopped talking to Kim Hyejin and turned to say, "Huh? Let me go with you." "No need," Ha Zoo-hyun replied with a smile. Her eyes glanced at Kim Hyejin's frowning face before she turned and left. As soon as Ha Zoo-hyun left, Kim Hyejin suddenly stood up and said, "Yuzu, come outside with me for a bit." Once outside, Yuzu casually lit a cigarette and looked up at the sky, sighing, "The weather is so beautiful. I just want school to end quickly so I can go fly." Kim Hyejin, on the other hand, sighed deeply several times, sounding very gloomy. After admiring the sky and ground, Yuzu suddenly remembered Kim Hyejin and turned to her, asking cluelessly, "But what's wrong with you?" Kim Hyejin, annoyed by Yuzu's seemingly oblivious tone, retorted, "Don't you know? I'm having a fight with Zhu Hyun." Yuzu finally understood, letting out an "ah" and then smiling again. "But Zhu Hyun invited us to hang out later, right? Doesn't she want to make up with you?" The more Kim Hae-jin talked to Yuzu, the more frustrated she became, thinking to herself, "Does this girl even have a brain? I don't understand her." Yuzu continued, "Everything will be fine. Just have fun together and you'll forget all about it." Kim Hae-jin, already annoyed and wanted to talk to Yuzu to relieve her stress, became even angrier at Yuzu's lack of understanding. Clenching her teeth, she recalled the time she spent with Zhu Hyun, feeling increasingly resentful. Clearly, Hae-jin couldn't simply brush things off like Yuzu. She then thought about how she always played the role of enforcer, stepping in when needed and putting pressure on others for Zhu Hyun. A few weeks earlier, when Zhu Hyun had asked Hae-jin to meet and talk, she had simply told her to stop bullying Choi Young-min. When Hae-jin asked for a reason, Zhu Hyun had remained silent and cold, not uttering a single word, not even a polite excuse. This made Kim Hae-jin feel a sense of contempt, like she was just an obedient dog, expected to comply without question whenever Zhu Hyun gave an order. Then, memories from middle school resurfaced. Kim Hae-jin had just transferred to Zhu Hyun's class. Because she transferred mid-semester, Kim Hae-jin was worried about making new friends. However, she was assigned to sit next to Zhu Hyun, and he made a very good first impression on her. At that time, Hae-jin was impressed by Ji Hyun in every way. In Kim Hae-jin's eyes, she was a perfect girl, beautiful, kind, innocent, and always smiling. Because of that, she was very popular in class. Most of the boys in the class liked Ji Hyun. Several boys from other classes also came around quite often to confess their feelings. Those things made Hae-jin feel like Ji Hyun and she weren't in the same world. A short time after transferring, rumors about the reason for Kim Hae-jin's transfer, that she had beaten up a classmate, gradually spread throughout the class. And of course, because it was gossip, the information was partially distorted. Sitting amidst the whispers and gossip of her classmates made Hae-jin uncomfortable. But even though she heard the false rumors, she didn't dare speak up, partly because she was new and partly because doing so would be futile. Actually, what happened that day wasn't solely Kim Hae-jin's fault. There was a whole group involved. But because she was unlucky, all the blame fell on her, and she had to transfer. Kim Hae-jin was very worried at this time, because she was the only one bearing all the guilt, and the rumors about it would follow her throughout her school years. While sitting alone in the corner of the classroom, lost in thought, Ji Hyun suddenly approached with a smile and said, "Hae-jin, I'm going to the restroom with some friends. You should come too." Then Kim Hae-jin suddenly realized that ever since Ji Hyun talked to her and showed her concern, the other students in the class no longer looked at her with those malicious eyes. She then felt incredibly grateful to Ji Hyun.